August in the desert, so outside in Glendale, Arizona, just outside of Phoenix, 101. Inside with the roof closed here, 77. And inside the stadium on the field, Michelle Tafoya.
Well, Al, one of the bigger stories of this preseason has been the rise in the number of penalties called because of the NFL's points of emphasis, particularly in the passing game. So far through the first 4 weeks of this preseason, illegal contact calls have skyrocketed compared to the first 4 weeks of last preseason. Defensive holding calls, they've gone up nearly fivefold over last preseason's numbers. And offensive pass interference calls have also escalated. Now, I spoke with Vice President of Officiating Dean Blandino, and he expects these numbers to level off once the regular season begins and coaches, players, and officials have adjusted. And he did acknowledge there have been some cases where officials were overreaching and getting a little too technical, and that is being addressed. As far as these two coaches here tonight, Al, they like these points of emphasis. Bruce Arians told us it's about time.
Thank you, Michelle. We certainly hope it levels off. We've seen a ton of flags in preseason. You've got Marvin Lewis, second only to Bill Belichick in terms of tenure with his team, 12 years for him. Bruce Arians, who took over when Chuck Pagano got sick 2 years ago in Indianapolis and did that masterful job. That led to his getting hired by the Arizona Cardinals, and last year he guided them to that 10-6 record, but not good enough to get into the playoffs. February 1st, Super Bowl 49 will kick off right here. Arizona won the toss. They have deferred. And Jay Feely, who is battling for his job, he's been in the league for 14 years, but he and Chandler Catanzaro are neck and neck for the place kicking job. Brandon Tate is back to receive. Standing at about 8 yards into the end zone with the roof closed at the University of Phoenix Stadium and a good crowd looking on. Off we go for week 3, the final game of the third week of the preseason, normally the dress rehearsal or dry run game for the season. 7 yards back, Tate, and he's going to get taken down in the open field at the 9-yard line. Jaron Brown, who is one of their top receivers, a guy who could wind up as their number 3 receiver this season, doing the job on special teams. Taking a look now at the backs and receivers for the Cincinnati Bengals. Giovanni Bernard is the running back, second year. Green, of course, is terrific. Sanu on the other side. Gresham at tight end, and Ryan Hewitt, the rookie out of Stanford, is up front as well. Take a look at the offensive line in a second, but the first play of the game from scrimmage out of the shotgun as Dalton throws, and it's a short gain. Russell down at the 12-yard line is Bernard. Larry Foote takes him down. The offensive line, and they are very good. Whitworth in particular, Bowling. Everybody looking at now Bodine, the rookie out of North Carolina. Zeitler and Newhouse as well, but this is a line that did a great job last year and afforded Dalton tremendous protection. Second down and 6. And Bernard again, the inside give, and he gets Russell down at the line of scrimmage. Larry Foote, the former Steeler, is there to stop him. It'll be third down and 6.
Well, if you know the Pittsburgh Steelers at all, you know what this guy likes to do. Larry Foote is a downhill player. The guy sees plays and reacts about as fast as anybody that you'll see in the National Football League. And it doesn't take him long to decipher what you're doing on offense.
They need a big year for Foote, because the one question mark on that Arizona defense at linebacker will detail it as we go along. Third down and 6. Blitz coming. Pass is thrown and a little too high, intended for Mohamed Sanu. So it's a 3 and out, and Arizona will get the ball.
Well, you knew something had to give eventually here for the Cincinnati Bengals offense. They've been red hot and playing really well, and for that first drive anyway, it was a little bit on the shaky side. That throw just a little bit high.
Good to see Kevin Huber back. Last year in a Sunday night game, suffered a broken jaw in a game at Pittsburgh. But healthy again, taking it in the direction of Ted Ginn in his first year as a Cardinal, and he gets buried. So Ginn does not call for the fair catch. They bear down on him, and the smack is made, and it's amazing that he's able to hold on as Dre Kirkpatrick comes in and makes the tackle.
I used to be a punt returner myself, and I can tell you that you want to be brave and you want to hang in there. But sometimes, and that one looks like it is a helmet right to the helmet of a defenseless player in many ways. Not called here.
Yeah. So here we are in preseason, having seen a ton of flags, and the one time we should have seen one, we don't. At the 42-yard line. Carson Palmer, who's had a good preseason, flips it out on the flat. The catch is made by Andre Ellington, who is their #1 running back now. Let's take a look at the Cardinals. Ellington in his second year out of Clemson. You know about Fitzgerald. Michael Floyd on the other side. Carlson comes over at tight end. They love him. And Hausler is the other tight end. They use two tights a lot. Vildier comes over from Oakland. That is a big pickup. Senline, a Super Bowl veteran from the 08 team, one of only 4 guys on the team who have played in that Super Bowl, and you saw the rest. 2nd and 9 as they empty the backfield. And Palmer, who won the Heisman Trophy in 2002 at USC, is able to survey. Protection is good. Fitzgerald makes the catch, and Larry is stopped just short of the first down by Leon Hall, coming back from his injury last season.
Oh, right here we've got Ted Larson, and he's going to be working against one of the best in the business, Geno Atkins, making his return. I don't know if Geno is not feeling so good after that knee surgery or not, or Ted Larson is just fantastic, but that was a great block, and Larry Fitzgerald now much more working inside as a slot receiver than he ever has.
Had enough, as it turns out, for the first down with the ball just inside the 48-yard line. And they hand the ball off to Ellington, and Ellington moving the pile. Little guy, 5'9" and under 200 pounds, but pushing his way for a nice gain. A look at Palmer now, the only player, 4,000 or more passing yards for 3 different teams. Many years, of course, with the Bengals. Then he went to Oakland for a season and a half and came here last year.
I'll tell you, Al, I think the biggest difference in this football team this year has been the offensive line. I thought they were one of the worst in football last year. Watching them this year, Carson Palmer is going to have so much more time to throw the ball.
He hopes, since Vildier is the key acquisition at left tackle. Ellington tries to get around the corner and does enough for the first down. Take a look at that Cincinnati defense. Atkins is back, talked about him. Pecco's been around a long time. Gilbury and Dunlap on the outside. They play a base 4-3. Perfect led the league in tackles last season. Watch for Lamure, comes back from an injury last year. They really like him. And then you've got the secondary, the longtime Cowboy, Newman, along with Leon Hall, comes back from Achilles surgery at the corners. And the pass, the time is incomplete. John Brown, a rookie out of Pittsburgh State, a school in Kansas, drafted in the 3rd round, has had a good preseason, can't hold on here. 2nd and 10.
Boy, Larry Fitzgerald, we talk about him as one of the great receivers of all time, but every once in a while they're going to do a little something extra with him. Watch this one. Comes in, sends a little message to Wallace Gilbury right off the bat. They are going to be a physical bunch this season.
Pass a little high for Brown, is now to the end zone, and reaching out and unable to make the catch is Michael Floyd with a ton of speed. Had position on Newman, stretching out, but can't haul it in. 3rd and 10.
Terrence Newman this time is going to get away with a little bump down the field, or this would have been a touchdown. Right here at the top end of this route, just going to cut him off enough. A little tap right there, maybe a NASCAR tap, but it was just enough to keep that one off the scoreboard.
I like that. I like the NASCAR tap. I like that.
Yeah, Ted Larson giving Geno a couple of taps out there too.
3rd and 10 now. Palmer in the pocket, good protection again, and wide open this time, but he overthrows him, and he threw it out of bounds as well. Michael Floyd free in the corner, but the pass thrown out of bounds. 4th down.
I think Terrence Newman got caught sneaking a peek inside. He thought they was going to throw this little under route, this crossing route, and nobody goes down the field with Michael Floyd. 2 huge opportunities, both blown by the Cardinals.
Dave Zastradil, one of the better punters in the league, to send it down to Adam, formerly known as Pac-Man Jones, who makes the fair catch at the 7-yard line. So 4:16 into the game in the desert. No score. Sunday Night Football being brought to you by Verizon. Stream more live games than ever with NFL Mobile. And by the Kia Sorento crossover. The Grand Canyon, you saw the Colorado River, which formed it. You ever been to the Grand Canyon?
I have. I actually jumped in the water down there. It was a bit on the chilly side.
Well, you swam in the Black Sea at the Olympics. So
I did.
I'm not surprised.
The Black Sea won.
Yes. From the 7, Cincinnati begins this drive with a 3-yard loss. Bernard. Tony Jefferson comes up from his safety spot to knock him down. 2nd down and long. Andy Dalton, 3 seasons in the league, 3rd most passing yards and TD passes in the first 3 seasons. And look at the company that he keeps. Only Dan Marino and Peyton Manning are in that club. But with Andy, as we said at the beginning, and the whole Cincinnati Bengals team, what about January? What about postseason? 2nd and 12, and the pass is caught over the middle by Sanu, who has moved into that number 2 spot with Marvin Jones, broken foot, and out for maybe a month or more. 1st down.
Yeah, nice job by Andy Dalton moving the linebackers a little bit. A little pump fake out to the right, open things up for Sanu in the middle. And Sanu's the guy really under pressure because without Marvin Jones, who caught 10 touchdown passes a season ago, it really now falls to Sanu to take some pressure off of A.J. Green, their great receiver. Well, a little unbalanced right here. How about that?
Shifting and using motion. And Bernard to the outside. And he'll get taken down. And Chris, we're going to see a lot of different formations and different plays because of a change in coordinators. Jay Gruden was there last year, now the head coach with Washington. And Hugh Jackson is now the offensive coordinator. They promoted from within.
Yeah, Hugh's going to shift over, bring the tight end down here and unbalance, and then try to run to this side where they now have 2 offensive tackles. You see Whitworth come down on that down block, but the Cardinals reacted pretty well to that one.
Now they empty the backfield again. Bernard out on the flat. Thornton looked that way and then takes it himself up to the 19-yard line. Taken down by Calais Campbell, one of the stalwarts of that defense. And there he is along with Dan Williams, number 1 pick a couple of years ago. And Frosty Rucker taking over for Darnell Dockett, gone for the season. Rucker 6 years with the Bengals. Larry Foote, we talked about him, the ex-Steeler in that 3-4. And they picked up Antonio Cromartie to go with Patrick Peterson. So a pair of big-time cornerbacks. Very good secondary in Arizona. 3rd and 10. And to the outside, the pass is caught, but a little short of the 1st down by A.J. Green. Needed 10, got 9. It'll be 4th down.
Well, this matchup is as good as you're going to see in preseason. Patrick Peterson every year to the Pro Bowl. A.J. Green every year to the Pro Bowl. Drafted one after the other in the draft in 2011. We're going to keep an eye on that one because those 2 players are fantastic.
There is Ginn, who got blasted but held on to Huber's last punt. This time he will have a little more room, and he's going to take advantage of it. One of the better run back men in the league for several seasons. Returns to the 37, tackled by Clark Harris. Halfway through the 1st quarter.
Certainly one of the best defensive tackles in the National Football League. Had the knee injury last year, trying to come back. This is first playing action since that knee injury. And obviously still bothering him, his right knee. Just not really willing to put a lot of pressure on that right leg. You can see really on this play exactly what happens. Ted Larson just drives him out of there. Give Ted Larson credit. But this is not the lightning quick Geno Atkins that has been in so many Pro Bowls over the past few years.
So they shut him down, and Arizona shifting and showing motion from the 36-yard line. And this is Ellington taking the ball to the 40-yard line. Let's go to Michelle.
Well, Al, it also looks like they're shutting down Vontaze Burfict. He's over on the sideline getting ice, and they tell us it is a hamstring injury, and he's not expected to return, Al.
All right, thank you, Michelle. A lot of talk in Cincinnati this week when it was reported that he was sick, but some people thought maybe he was sick that he hadn't finalized his contract. A reported 4-year deal for $20 million was the initial report, but nothing's been signed yet. 2nd and 7. And that pass is incomplete, but Burfict making it perfectly clear to us last night that it had nothing to do with the deal.
Yeah, that he was really sick, and so we all went and washed our hands as soon as he walked out of the room. But Vontaze Burfict is, they describe him, as Paul Gunther, their defensive coordinator, described him. He's our Andy Dalton on the defensive side. He knows the defense inside and out, makes all the calls. He has all the line adjustments, the secondary adjustments. He goes over to Paul Gunther's house. They go over this defense all the time. He says he knows this defense as well as I do.
Gunther promoted from within when Mike Zimmer went to Minnesota. And that's intercepted at midfield. Terrence Newman, the longtime former Cowboy, drops to the end zone for a touchdown. So Newman, who had been burned earlier but got away with it when Floyd was free, this time he makes sure he secures it and goes 53 on the return.
Don't know what happened here, but Carson Palmer obviously thought Fitzgerald was going across the face of Terrence Newman, and when he did not, this was just an easy walk-in touchdown for the old veteran. Terrence Newman, remember him back in the days with Bill Parcells having to go get his water all the time? Well, he's still playing now with the Bengals and keeps making plays like that.
12th year in the league. Newman played his college ball a long time ago at Kansas State. Mike Nugent in for the extra point. Now it's a conventional extra point. 2 weeks of the line of scrimmage being the 15. That was an experiment. They'll review it in the offseason. Right now back to the 2-yard line, and the extra point is good. So the interception by Newman, the first score of the game, and the Bengals are up 7-0 in Arizona. And a reminder, coming your way tomorrow night on NBC, the Emmy Awards. You'll see them live with host Seth Meyers. He's going to do a great job, I'm sure. 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, right here on NBC. 7-0, the Bengals on top. And Ginn will field it 9 yards deep and take a knee there in Arizona. With Palmer, who started 2 for 2, but is now 2 for 7 at the helm when we come back.
Not a great start for Carson Palmer. A little miscommunication on that one with the veteran Larry Fitzgerald. You're going to see him come up. Palmer thinks he's going that way. Instead, Fitzgerald goes this way, and Terrence Newman takes advantage of that with the interception. And you'll see Larry Fitzgerald coming off the ball looking right at Terrence Newman, number 23, sees him squat and looking at the quarterback, thinks he's going to have a touchdown. Instead, it's a touchdown the other way.
Newman went that way, and from the 20-yard line on first down, Ellington, who will be the workhorse this year for them, with Newman making the tackle. Ellington really came on last year. He split time with Rashard Mendenhall, who wound up retiring. He was a 6th-round draft choice, was Ellington, out of Clemson, and had over 1,000 yards from scrimmage splitting time. And I know fantasy football players love this guy.
Oh, look at the average. 5.5 is just off the charts. He's a receiving threat. Carson Palmer telling us he thinks he's one of the best receivers on this team. Runs routes like a wide receiver would.
2nd and 9. Here he is again over right guard for a small game. Under 6 to play in the quarter.
And I think small is the operative word here, right, with Andre Ellington. The question is, they know how great a player he is. They know about his talent. Problem is, he's 5'9" and weighs 199, and the question is, can he hold up for the entire season? And that's their concern. They're going to try and get him about 25 touches per game in either the running game or the passing game, and hope he survives. Sort of a Jamal Charles kind of a guy.
Jonathan, yeah, right. Anybody would hope. Jonathan Dwyer is their short yardage back. Stephon Taylor is their other back. And here is Fitzgerald in a lot of traffic. But Palmer able to find him, and he takes the ball inside the 35 to the 33-yard line where Newman runs him down. A lot of traffic in the middle, but the pass right on the money, and it's a gain of 43.
Great read here by Carson Palmer. The whole house is going that way. Reads it like a Kurt Warner would and gets out, and actually it was his buddy out there, Michael Floyd, who threw a great block at the top end of that on George Iloka that sprang him.
Yeah, we saw Kurt Warner hit him on a few passes like that a few years back. From the 34 now. Protection is excellent. Pass underneath taken by Michael Floyd. Third year out of Notre Dame. He was their #1 pick in 2012. And he figures to be, as we mentioned a few minutes ago, their long distance threat with Fitzgerald playing more of the possession role.
Yeah, but they've got a lot of those long distance threats this year, don't they? This John Brown ran a 4.34, number 12, number 13, Jerron Brown. They think he has had the best camp of anybody out here. Ted Ginn, probably the fastest guy on the team. So this is a team that has added a lot of speed in the offseason.
And depth at wide receiver. And this is Ellington going nowhere. Take a look at Larry Fitzgerald. First 9 years in the league, 78 catches, more than 20 yards from the line of scrimmage. And Michael Floyd has taken over that role. So he's the guy they send deep. He's caught 14 in the last couple of years, and Larry's only caught 4.
And he's still adjusting. They have him in the slot a lot more this year, and the other guys playing on the outside. And he says it's tough, you know, you've done something for 8 straight years, and then they ask you to do something else. It's a little different.
3rd and 6, and that's incomplete at the 19-yard line. Tried to jam it in there to John Brown, the rookie from Pittsburgh State. Reggie Nelson with the coverage. It's 4th down.
Well, Geno Atkins again right here, working against Ted Larson again, and looks like he's starting to get a little more confidence in that knee, but his signature move is always the quickness, and so far we haven't seen any of that at all. It's been straight bull rushes.
48-yard attempt for Jay Feely, and that's not going to help his cause. We talked about the fact there's a battle here for place kicker between Feely and the rookie Catanzaro. Way wide to the right, 7-0 Cincinnati. In straight years now, the NFL season will kick off here on NBC. And a week from Thursday night, we go to Seattle, the Super Bowl champs, against the Green Bay Packers. Kickoff presented by Xbox. Bob and the gang will be there for football night, and away we go. Pharrell Williams will be there as well. Kicking it off with a concert. Green Bay and Seattle a week from Thursday. Now Dalton on 1st down throwing, and the catch made for a 1st down. Mohamed Sanu making the catch. Well, Katie Blackburn, there she is, the executive vice president of the Bengals and the daughter of Mike Brown. And the Bengals telling us this morning that Mike Brown, who was here in Phoenix, had a minor medical situation. He's being treated for precautionary purposes and is not at tonight's game here in Glendale. But they're telling us he'll return to Cincinnati shortly. We assume that we hope Mike is looking in. And Mike, we wish you the very best. As Bernard gets tackled just about at the line of scrimmage. Yeah,
no question about it. Mike, we hope you're feeling better. I got to spend quite a bit of time with him at practice in the middle of this week. And so many people talk about, okay, you guys have to prepare yourself for life after football. And they give you that speech, but they don't back it up with words. Well, Mike Brown let me go to law school classes instead of classes in the morning of practice. He's a guy that loves his players, wants nothing but the best for them, and we're all very appreciative of all the time that we've had with Mike Brown.
And the son of the legendary Paul Brown, as Dalton airs one out, and too far, it's incomplete. The Brown family is the founding family of the Bengals, who came in as an expansion franchise in the American Football League in 1968, and the Bidwell family On the other side, they have owned the Cardinals since back in Chicago in 1932.
I tell you, they found a good one right now, though, haven't they? And Michael Bidwell, since he's come in here, just really energized this franchise, and some of the moves that he has made have really turned this thing around.
Yeah, they're very excited here in the Valley of the Sun, especially coming off that hot finish last year, winning 7 of the final 9. 3rd and 9 now. Blitz coming. Dalton stepping up, and it goes on the run. Intended for A.J. Green, who was ducking down, and the pass incomplete. 4th down.
That was just a bizarre play. A.J. had kind of turned upfield, and then Andy threw it to him over his shoulder and made A.J. flinch just a little bit here. Well, we talked about the center, Russell Bodine. Let's take a look at him right here in the middle. He's the one calling the plays. That's a nice job. The hardest part about playing those interior positions sometimes, all those blitzes and stunts, and you've got to push off and then pick up the next guy who did a good job there.
Huber's 3rd punt, and this time a fair catch is called for and then dropped and recovered by Ted Ginn at the 10-yard line. Go back to 2003. Marvin Lewis had taken over as the head coach. Carson Palmer was the #1 overall pick in the 03 draft. He'd won the Heisman at USC in 02, and then he spent the entire 03 season on the bench with John Kitna doing most of the quarterbacking.
Yeah, and we asked him about, his decision. He really just dug his heels in and demanded a trade, which usually doesn't work out so well with Mike Brown and the Bengals. He said, hey, it was just time. I just felt like I didn't have common goals with the organization, and I'd hit my breaking point, and I was going to stand firm and force a trade, and I can be stubborn when I need to, and by golly, he did it.
That was in the 2011 season. Pressure is on as he airs one out, and that is almost intercepted by Reggie Nelson. Yeah, so Carson, I don't know if anybody was calling anybody's bluff at that particular point, but he dug in his heels, as Chris said, and he went home to California, and then they made the trade to Oakland, spent a year and a half there. Marvin even went out there to give him a playbook, which he refused to take his temperature, and he had dug in.
Yeah, and that's when they ended up drafting Andy Dalton. He said when he refused to take the new playbook that we had at the time, because Jay Gruden was the new offensive coordinator, he said, I better draft a quarterback.
2nd and 10. That pass is caught by Robert Hughes, second-year back out of Notre Dame. Newman in on the tackle.
Robert Hughes, he was a force for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, a big back. He is sort of the de facto fullback. He's not really a fullback by any means. Bruce Arians said, oh, he's kind of my fullback. He's just bigger than the rest of them. So when they need somebody to lead block, that's exactly what they do. They turn to Robert Hughes.
Yeah, Bruce has never been in love with necessarily having a fullback. Told us a funny story a couple of years back, reminding us of it today on 3rd and 1 as the pressure is on and the pass is almost picked off, and there's a penalty. It's our first call of the game, with Pete Morelli signaling a hold.
Holding, number 68 offense. Penalties declined. 4th down.
That's Valdir.
Yeah, that's the big signee, number 68, Jared Valdir. He comes down and tries to help Larson, and then by the time he got back, too late to slow down Wallace Gilberry, so he had to try and hold him and got caught. So really, just a really slow start for this Cardinals offense that had been playing so well. Bengals defensively getting it done.
Zastudillo punting toward Jones, and a flag is thrown, and Jones will run it back, but there's a flag down. Just to finish that Arians story, they win the Super Bowl in 08. They have the parade in Pittsburgh. He's on the truck and with his wife and his family, and somebody yells out, "Get a fullback!"
You bum! Just won the Super Bowl. And he said, "Yeah, that's when you know it's time to go."
During the kick, holding, number 23, the receiving team, 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
24 seconds. The Palmer trade, when we go back to the 11 season, 2011, Raiders got Palmer. Bengals wind up with a couple of picks. Turns out to be Kirkpatrick and Bernard, 2 really good players. 2 years later, Oakland sends him here. The Raiders get a 6th round pick. And the Cardinals got a pick as well. So you might say Oakland got the short end of the stick on both counts.
Yeah, they didn't do so well.
No.
On that, but I'm sure they'd like to have him back. Carson Palmer over 4,000 yards passing a season ago, and that was without nearly the offensive line he has now or the receiving corps.
First down from the 17. Heat is on, and he has to get it away. And the Cardinals want grounding because he was in the pocket. Kenny Demmings put the pressure on, and now a flag does come in for grounding.
Number 14, offense. 10-yard penalty remains. First down.
No receiver in the neighborhood.
Yeah, it was definitely a good call. Demmings going to come looping around here and get the pressure, and so he's in the pocket, under pressure, and you throw it where there's no receiver just to avoid the sack, and that is intentional grounding and a good call. Demmings, a guy getting a good long look tonight because Kevin Mentor has had a pectoral injury. All these guys, all these linebackers for Arizona coming off of IR.
Now on 1st and 20, handoff to Bernard. He'll get wrestled back as he reaches the 10-yard line, and that's going to take us to the end of the quarter. So the only scoring in the period, the interception return, 53 yards by Terrence Newman. We've played one, with Cincinnati leading 7-0. And Sunday Night Football from Glendale, Arizona, back after these messages. Tonight's aerial coverage is being brought to you by Geico. That's the town of Sedona and Oak Creek Canyon. If you can't make it to the Grand Canyon, try Oak Creek Canyon. It's pretty phenomenal, about 100 miles north of where we are in metropolitan Phoenix. 3rd and 18, Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, Michelle Tafoya. Preseason football, and Bernard gets taken down at the line of scrimmage by Rashad Johnson. 4th and long.
Boy, I know that they're all waiting on Tyrann Mathieu to come back, and with good reason, because I thought he was one of the great players in the league last year. I just was blown away by what he's done. But watching these two other guys on tape, Rashad Johnson and Tony Jefferson, play last week, they were making plays just like that. We haven't even talked about Deone Buchanan, their #1 draft pick yet, another safety.
Hoover's punt, it's a short one. Takes a Cardinal bounce backwards and is down to the 41, and we go to Michelle.
Guys, revisiting the story of John Abraham, who missed the first 19 days of training camp, and a source close to the team indicated that was so Abraham could attend alcohol rehab. Back in June, he was arrested and charged with a DUI in Atlanta. It was his second DUI, third alcohol-related arrest since he's been in the NFL, so he's subject to a fine and/or suspension by the league. Abraham's court date is October 10th, and the NFL traditionally doesn't act until cases have been adjudicated.
All right, thank you, Michelle. Abraham can still bring it. He was a force last year, second oldest defensive player in the league. Jonathan Dwyer for a gain of about 3. Charles Woodson, the only guy who's older, and Woodson back now with the Raiders.
Yeah, no doubt about it. They have to have him. He has been the pressure, and especially now with Darnell Dockett injured and not going to be here for the season, and Darrell Washington having his own issues and out for the season as well. So there have been a lot of setbacks on the defensive side, and not all of them are related to football.
And then Carlos Dansby, who had a stellar career here, wound up signing with the Cleveland Browns, so he's gone as well.
Timeout, Arizona, first team timeout.
And so Arizona, prior to a 2nd down and 6. Larry Fitzgerald, I keep thinking about the postseason that he had in 08, the 4 phenomenal games against Atlanta in the wild card, Carolina in the 2nd round. They beat Philadelphia here, and then in the Super Bowl where he scored what would have been the winning touchdown, but Pittsburgh came from behind. And then there was this at the end of the first half, the 100-yard interception return by James Harrison, who ran through the entire state of Arizona, including Larry Fitzgerald going down the sideline, running into his own guys. Remember, the clock is running down at this point, so if Harrison goes out of bounds, they don't even have time to kick a field goal.
What did Fitz say? So it's like trying to tackle a refrigerator.
2nd and 6. And there's Ellington showing what he has. And Ellington takes the ball inside the 15. Dunlop finally running him down after a gain of 24.
You got Paul Faneca out leading the way, backside fullback here, and getting out in front. And I tell you, when Andre Ellington gets into the open field, he is about as exciting a player as there is. Reminds you a little bit of Giovanni Bernard, the Cincinnati Bengals back. Here's Faneca coming down, kicks out Wallace Gilberry, and that's what set that play in motion.
First down now from the 13. Starters still in there. Both teams will use their starters for a half or maybe a little bit less. And that pass caught inside the 10, taken there by John Brown, tackled by Lamour.
I just couldn't get over when I was watching practice the other day. Bruce Arians has a known passion for small, fast receivers, and he has some on his football team right now. And John Brown probably at the top of that list. The guy was drafted in the 3rd round this year, 4.34, so he's going to add a little explosion on the outside. Ted Ginn, Jerron Brown. They have a lot of weapons to throw the football if they get it protected up front.
2nd and 3. Bengals show blitz, and here they come. And it's Lamour who comes in from the outside and forces Palmer to just throw it away. 3rd down.
Yeah, Emmanuel Lamour on the outside is another one of those free agent guys. I think coming right here. Comes through cleanly and forces Carson Palmer to throw it away. I mean, of the 10 linebackers currently on the Cincinnati Bengals roster, 7 of them went undrafted, including 2 of their starters. That guy, Emmanuel Lamour, and of course Vontaze Burfict, who's one of the more remarkable stories in the league right now. Led the league in tackles a season ago.
Free agent of Arizona State, but he's done for the night here. 3rd and 3, and a fade is incomplete. That's John Brown in the corner of the end zone. It's 4th down. They'll have to settle for a field goal.
Yeah, give a little credit to, I think that was Adam Jones. Slot receiver right here. It's tough. When you're in the slot and you have to cover that fade route, there's so much field to try and defend. Maybe Jones got away with a little bit of a nudge, but Carson Palmer couldn't fit it in there.
Feely now, who missed one from 48. This is from 24. And Jay's kick is good to give Arizona its first points of the night. 7-3 Cincinnati. Super Bowl 49 to be played here. No team has ever played a Super Bowl in its own stadium. Last few years, AT&T Stadium, but the Cowboys started 1-7. Then it was in Indy, but the Colts with Manning hurt that year, 0-13 to New Orleans, where the Saints started 0-4, finished 7-9. And then MetLife last year, the Giants started 0-6. The Jets finished 8-8. So no team in the last 4 years has even come close. It's 161 days, a little more than 5 months of the Super Bowl. Will the Cardinals be the first?
Better play a little better than this so far.
Yeah. Long way from preseason to Feb 1. And Brandon Tate is going to run it out. Flag is thrown. And Tate gets it to the 21. A couple of teams have come close to playing, not in their home stadium.
Return, holding. Number 30, the receiving team. Half of this to the goal, 1st down.
The Rams back in 79 were playing in the LA Coliseum, and the Super Bowl was at the Rose Bowl, about a half-hour drive. And then in 84, the 49ers got to the Super Bowl, playing at Candlestick Park, but the Super Bowl was at Stanford Stadium. That was about a half-hour drive away.
It was. We've got that fully covered soup to nuts. Now, what kind of odds would you put on the Arizona Cardinals breaking the curse?
16.31 to 1.
Well,
what do you think?
Take that. It's a tough NFC. Tough just to get out of their division.
Don't go to the bank on that, anybody. Here's Jeremy Hill as the running back, and Mohamed Sanu making the catch near the sideline and running it out to near the 30-yard line. 18-yard gain.
Well, we know about Antonio Cromartie as a coverage corner. This time, though, you've got to be able to make those plays in the open field. Mohamed Sanu, that's one of the things he does best. Big, strong guy, caught a long pass for a touchdown a week ago and gets the Bengals out of that hole.
Hey, read it.
Now Jeremy Hill, I want to take a good look at him. He was their number 2 pick out of LSU, and if he makes the team, that might mean the end of it for Benjarvis Green Ellis, who was their back last year along with Bernard, but his role could be in jeopardy.
Well, now the Bengals going to go to that hurry up, try and wake up their offense that was perfect. Andy Dalton was perfect a week ago, and so far tonight, this Cardinal defense has been shutting them down.
Good protection. Good coverage as well, though. And he has to settle for Green, who comes underneath, gets taken down by Demons about half a yard shy of the first. Let's see where they spot it. The 34 and a half. And it'll be third down. There's a guy who did a great job. Todd Bowles coming over last year as the defensive coordinator. And what improvements they made, especially in their rush defense. The year before, they were 28th against the rush. Last year, they were the best in the league against the rush. 3rd and 1. And a nice hole exploited there by Jeremy Hill out to the 39-yard line.
Yeah, it's going to be nice for the Bengals to have a bigger back end there. Jeremy Hill is a guy that averaged almost 7 yards a carry playing against SEC competition. Let's watch Russell Bodine, the center here, one more time. He's the guy that's going to be so key. Good block up front. I think that was Ryan Hewitt coming through as the lead fullback. But you don't want Giovanni Bernard coming through and playing all those short yardage downs. If Jeremy Hill can lighten that load, it would really help.
Airing it out on 1st and 10, and the pass incomplete. The coverage is outstanding. That time it's Cromartie, Antonio Cromartie, been around a long time, 9 years in the league, former Charger and Jet, signed in the offseason.
I think A.J. Green was saying, you've been calling these things all preseason long. He's bumping and all the way down the field. How about one there? But there's no doubt. These two cornerbacks, if they stay healthy, these will be maybe the best tandem of pure bump and run kind of cover corners that are going. Seattle might have a little argument with me, but they are certainly top shelf guys. The question now becomes, can their linebackers match that man coverage?
2nd and 10. Pass is incomplete. A lot of traffic there. Apparently trying to set up a screen, but nothing happening. 3rd and 10.
But when they had Darrell Washington and they had Carlos Dansby playing linebacker, if you would put these two guys on the corners with them and Tyrann Mathieu playing coverage safety, linebacker, slot corner, all the things that he does, this secondary would have been really tough.
Third and 10. Play clock down to 3. Cards show blitz. Here they come, all-out blitz, and the pass taken in at midfield by Sanu. So Dalton hung in there. Buchanan, the number 1 pick, was able to get to the quarterback and knock him down, but the pass complete for a first down.
Nice play by Andy Dalton, hanging in there. Sometimes you're just going to take it, and you got to hang in there and get it off. Man-to-man coverage. Todd Bowles spent a little time in Philadelphia, and he believes in blitzing whenever he gets that opportunity. Paid the price for it there.
And Bernard threading his way. Gain of a couple. The inside backers, Dansby, who was here a long time. 2nd most in pass deflections in the NFL. He opted to sign with Cleveland. Darrell Washington with 12 starts, gone for the year for suspension. And otherwise, well, I tell you what, that would be an El Primo defense. Still might be. Well, here's A.J. Green picking up the first down. Patrick Peterson with the coverage on the play.
It was so interesting talking to Patrick Peterson about playing A.J. Green, and he said it's like pitching in some ways. I got to change it up on him. I can't show him the same look. So he's been up in this bump and run, man-to-man coverage. This time he's going to run out of it, and A.J. takes advantage, stops short, and comes up with a first down.
Halfway through this second quarter. And Bernard to the 20, drafted in the second round out of North Carolina.
Yeah, he's a good player, and I'll tell you, Kenny Dimmons probably saved a touchdown on that one. That was a nice pursuit by Dimmons coming all the way across the formation. Wasn't sure he was going to be able to get there or not, but I think this hurry-up offense is wearing down the Cardinals' defense a bit now.
Yeah.
And Bernard getting a full workload tonight. Dan Williams, nose tackle, fifth year, number 1 pick in 2010 out of Tennessee. Bernard has now carried 8 times but for only 7 yards.
This time the rookie center for the Bengals gets taken advantage of by the old vet there, Dan Williams. They wanted to see a little upgrade. He's had a few nicks so far in camp, and he's going to continue the education of Russell Bodine.
3rd and 5. Play clock at 2. Flag is thrown. Dalton going against the grain. The pass is incomplete. Intended for Gresham. Buchanan covering on
Holding.
the play.
Number 78 offense. 10-yard penalty remains. 3rd down.
I think it was actually 77, Andrew Whitworth. Got his arm sort of hooked around the neck. I think that was John Abraham out there. See the pressure here. There's Andrew Whitworth. Sometimes that little inside move there, you could see what happened. He got fooled just a bit, took the fake inside, had no choice but to put the hook to the outside. I'm sure Andy Dalton in preseason didn't mind that too much.
Six minutes left in the half. 3rd and 15. Over the middle, knocked down. Good bracketed coverage that time. Powers and Jefferson had him bracketed. It's 4th down.
Well, that time Andrew Whitworth is going to get a little revenge on John Abraham. He got the holding penalty last time, and this time just kind of smushes him. Well, the new rule is about hands to the face, too, and, you know, you just wonder, Whitworth get his hands up around that helmet area a little bit on that one as well. I think that's what John Abraham was trying to say.
48-yard attempt coming here for Mike Nugent. And that kick is perfect. 5:55 left in the half, with Cincinnati leading 10-3. 100 players are going to tee off in the Deutsche Bank Championship, and only 70 will march on in the FedEx Cup playoffs. Pool advance. Coverage begins Friday on the Golf Channel, continues next Sunday right here on NBC. We'll cruise down the Salt River in the Valley of the Sun.
It's a beautiful place around here, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It'll be great for the Super Bowl.
Will be. Flag is thrown at the, well, somebody was offside. Somebody came across the line before the kick.
Offside. Number 86 of the kicking team.
They'll tack that on probably.
Mm-hmm. Marvin Lewis, 12 years now.
Offside, number 86 of the kicking team will re-kick the football.
Told you.
Have the right. Good call.
You know the interesting part about that, in the regular season they probably tack it on. In preseason, you're trying to pass judgment on these guys, who's going to make those last 4 or 5 spots on your roster, and you want to see another kickoff. That's the only reason I made that mistake. That was it. Otherwise, I would have had that.
Oh, definitely. You would have been locked in. You know, this is the third week, is always the most important week. It's known as the dress rehearsal, dry run, whatever. And A lot of cuts to be made, and a lot of guys are going to be shifting around the National Football League over the next few days.
Yeah, the next couple of weeks is probably the least favorite time for every coach in the National Football League, because they have to tell a lot of guys that their hopes and dreams are ending right here. At least now they're expanding those rosters to 63 now, taking the practice squad to 63, allowing a couple of veteran guys of 2 or 3 years in the league to be able to be on that practice squad. So the number of guys in the league keeps going up, which is good.
They've expanded the practice squad to 10 players this year. Larry Fitzgerald, been here. He's the longest tenured Cardinal, along with Darnell Dockett, who is done for the season after ACL surgery. As the kickoff now comes to the goal line, Ted Ginn looking for room. Out to the 24-yard line he goes. 5:49 left in the first half, with Cincinnati leading by 7. Sunday Night Football brought to you by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. By Toyota, let's go places. And by the new Samsung Galaxy S5, the next big thing is here. Speaking of Oak Creek Canyon, as we were not long ago, outside Sedona, Arizona. Back to Glendale, AZ from the 24-yard line. This drive begins with Andre Ellington taking it for a yard or two. Bruce Arians in his 60s, and he was a long-time assistant. 20 years an assistant coach in the league, 7 different head coaches he worked under. All of them had defensive pedigrees. He did a spectacular job when Chuck Pagano got sick 2 years ago in Indianapolis early in the season. Won Coach of the Year honors, and then was able to wind up with his first head coaching job here with the Arizona Cardinals. 2nd and 9. And Palmer to gun it, and reaching out for it with a flag down as Fitzgerald. But Larry showing he still has the chops. Beats Leon Hall on the play, flag down in the middle of the field. Here's Morelli.
Illegal contact, number 28, defense. The penalty is declined. Result of the play, first down.
Actually thought that was Leon Hall that was tracking him across the field, and they're battling pretty good coming across this way. But watch this catch by Larry Fitzgerald. Last season, he dropped one ball for the entire season. I said, I bet you remember it too. He spent 10 minutes describing it. It about made him insane. Perhaps Chris Carter, Jerry Rice, those guys right at the top of the greatest hands we've ever seen in the NFL.
From the 44-yard line, swinging to the outside, trying to get around the corner, and bumped into his own bench goes Ellington, with Hall knocking him out. So Bruce Arians, several years, as we mentioned, with Pittsburgh, and before that with Indianapolis, and a guy who, you know, as you look at the guys he worked under, Schottenheimer, the senior Jim Mora, Bill Cowher, and Tomlin, and then he goes to Pagano and winds up here. And it's we've known him a long time. It's great to see a guy like that finally get a chance and not trying to make it pay off.
I mean, he looked like he was going to be out of football when it fell apart with Pittsburgh.
2nd and 6, and the pass is incomplete.
I mean, he was driving back to his little place in Georgia, a lake house he has that he loves, and he was going to retire, and got the call from Pagano and turned around, and next thing you know, he's sitting on his front porch during the bye week when he's there with the Colts, and Chuck calls and says, listen, I have cancer, you got to be the head coach. So he got in his car and drove back up, and he was the head coach. I said, well, did you do anything differently? He said, shoot, I didn't have time to think about it.
3rd down and 6. Looked like he was wearing the Super Bowl ring from the Steelers in 08. And that pass is incomplete. Is there a flag that comes in? Everybody looking for one, but Dunlap covering Ellington on the play. And you know who wanted a flag there?
Yeah.
4th down.
I think Bruce Arians like that. Anytime you drop out a defensive end, a pass rusher like Carlos Dunlap, you expect there's going to be a little grabbing, and there was, and they just didn't call it this time.
Bruce with a regular season reaction in a preseason game.
When your offense is struggling, you want all the help you can get.
Floating punt, and it's going to be down inside the 5-yard line. Took a nice bounce for Arizona. Brian McCann is there to make sure it doesn't skitter into the end zone. There you go. Might as well be November instead of August. Patrick Peterson, 4th year in the league. He was the #1 pick, 5th overall pick out of LSU. And here are some of the things that he did last year. Punt returns, kickoff run back, played a lot of offense, or some offense anyway, 6 catches, ran the ball 4 times, even had a pass completion, rolling to his right, got plenty on it right there, bingo, on target. He did 6 different things last year, and we'll show you it's the first time it's been done in a million years. But this year he's going to be limited to cornerback duty as the pass is caught out at the 15-yard line by A.J. Green. The guys who did all of the things that he did, you have to go back to 1961. Dick James did it. There, Don Paul with the 53 Cardinals, Frank Gifford with the Giants, Charlie Trippi, who's the oldest living Hall of Famer, James with the Redskins in 61, and then Peterson in 2013.
I'll tell you, when he walked in the room with us, he looks more like a middle linebacker, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He is thick and strong and can absolutely fly.
Jeremy Hill. And you would think that a guy like Peterson would love, to be involved with the offense as he was last year. But he said, I'm real cool about this. He said, look, I want to become the best corner, so I can now concentrate on only playing cornerback.
He said, I've got all this time on my hands now. I used to have to go to special teams meeting. Carson Palmer pulled me aside for whatever plays he wanted to put in. And then, so now he says he has time to eat breakfast.
2nd down and 5. Big hole, gaping hole through the middle, and that's Jeremy Hill, 6'1" and 238, 2nd round pick out of LSU.
A little trap action here. Clint Bowling, the left guard's going to come around and have a little surprise as they come up the field here. Kick that right out, and Jeremy Hill able to sneak inside. I tell you, Jeremy Hill, you watch him at LSU, he ran over a lot of people there. He was a big stud back running against some great defenses in the SEC.
Final play before the 2-minute warning, and wide open over the middle is Gresham. And then Peterson has to go back there to drag him down at the 35-yard line. Big gain there at the 2-minute warning, which comes with 154. Gain of 33. Halftime interview, Josh Elliott sat down with Richard Sherman, the ever-confident one. Bernard. Tell you what, if they'd stayed on the other side of the river, he would have said when we came out of the Lincoln Tunnel, we thought we'd win the game.
I tell you what a year he had. He didn't win the defensive MVP, but he sure had to be under strong consideration. Earl Thomas as well. Just phenomenal. I love to watch him play because he knows what's going on. His eyes almost never leave that quarterback.
We'll see him a week from Thursday night in the season opener as Bernard takes it to the 25, and that'll move the chains. So in the West now you got Sherman and Peterson, 2 of the best. And I mean, when you talk about the great corners in the league, they're in every conversation, and there are the numbers for these 2 guys since 2011.
Well, they had a little battle on Twitter at some point. I think it was all in fun, but they had a good time with it.
Dalton calls for the timeout. I think that helps to fuel Richard Sherman, getting in those little skirmishes.
I would think Michael Crabtree would probably agree with you.
Oh yeah.
Little Patrick Peterson here. We'll show you just how good he is working against A.J. Green. Big physical battle. He said, I'm going to get up in A.J.'s grill all night long, and he's been up there and wants to be able to be physical with him, but A.J. Green able to get that one. He caught another little slant a little bit later on, and this one when Peterson tried to change up the look, give him a run out. Caught a little slant not too long ago as well, and Bengals offense now has looked a little bit better here in the second quarter than what they did in the first.
We don't figure to see too many first line guys when we go into the second half. Dalton running around, look out from behind. He gets whacked, but he gets the pass away. There's a flag thrown. And you're going to get Frosty Rucker.
Number 84, offense. 10-yard penalty, still first down.
Frosty Rucker was the guy who hit him at the end, but the hold was on Gresham.
Boy, the former Bengal came around the edge here, and that looked like it was going to get ugly. It was a clean hit from Frosty Rucker against his, I guess, former teammate. I'm trying to figure out exactly what it was. I think it was. But Frosty Rucker under pressure now. He's going to have to replace Darnell Dockett. They drafted a couple of guys, Kareem Martin in the 3rd round, Ed Stinson in the 5th round, and Martin more of the pass rusher, Stinson a little bit more of the run player.
Block to 50.
From the 34. On 1st and 20 now. Pump fake. And then pass is incomplete as the route was cut off by Gresham. It'll be 2nd down and 20.
I think you could make a pretty strong case that the Cincinnati Bengals offensive line about as good a pass blocking team as there is. You know, Calais Campbell is probably the most underrated defensive lineman in the game, and we really haven't heard a whole lot from him so far tonight.
And Bodine holding his own, the rookie center, 4th round pick.
Hey, square, stay square, stay square.
2nd and 20 now from the 35-yard line. And Dalton hit as he throws, and a wobbly pass is caught by Green, who gets tackled by Cromartie after a short gain. And the clock will stop here as Cincinnati takes its 2nd timeout.
There's Marvin Lewis. You know, my personal opinion, I live in Cincinnati still, played for the team, and I think the best thing that ever happened to the Cincinnati Bengals is they finally quit changing coaches and just left one system in place. And Marvin Lewis has proven over time that if he's able to get that system going now, it's even to the point where the Bengals now have the sort of depth on that coaching staff that if their 2 coordinators leave, like is what happened this year, they just promote from within. And 3 straight playoffs, and you know Marvin and Andy Dalton and all of them want to get that off their back about not being able to win a playoff game.
And Jay Gruden going to Washington. Mike Zimmer to Minnesota. Nice little coaching tree starting for Marvin Lewis. 3rd and 16 now. And Dalton guns it to the outside. It'll be short of the first down. Sanu tackled at the 18. And it'll be 4th and 3.
Giovanni Bernard is not very big, but watch this. Against Larry Foote, who loves to do this blitz, watch Giovanni Bernard just stop him right in his tracks. That has a lot to do with why they're one of the top pass blocking teams, because they insist their backs be able to do that as well.
And Marvin Lewis wanted to run the clock down a little bit, take that time out. Could have run it down a little farther than that, because he's going to have to wind up kicking off, as it turns out. He really wanted to wind it down to maybe 3.
Maybe. Sometimes during preseason, they just sort of let that drift on
Right.
in the halftime. Well, now it's back up to 7, so now they will have time.
And Mike Nugent, who made a 48-yarder earlier in the half. This one will be from about 36 yards. And probably the end of the night, we would suspect, for Mr. Palmer. He won't play in all likelihood. They have a preseason game in San Diego on Thursday. And then ironically, they'll open up the season against San Diego in a Monday night game here on the opening weekend.
Timeout, Arizona. 2nd team timeout. A 30-second timeout.
And we can tell you that introducing NFL Now, the biggest library of NFL videos on the planet, comes to your favorite devices for free. You can sign up today at NFL.com/now and dominate your fantasy football draft with the Roto World Draft Guide. NBCSports.com/fantasy. Valley of the Sun, Phoenix, Arizona. That's Camelback Mountain, Scottsdale.
Pretty amazing place, isn't it? It's just so flat, and then mountain, and then over there, a big mountain, and a lot of good golf.
Sometimes it looks like an amusement park, doesn't it?
It does.
36-yard attempt. And Nugent's kick is just inside that left upright. And it leaves 3 ticks on the clock, so we'll have to have a kickoff or reasonable facsimile thereof.
That may not have been good under Marvin Lewis's rule consideration, right? He was saying they are seriously considering moving those uprights in. Of course, they made them a little higher this year, which really doesn't affect anything, but making those kicks a little tougher than they would be otherwise. A little draw on it. Looked like one of your drives, Al. Right
Hey.
Right down the pike.
I wish. When my drive would be out of bounds. Those goalposts, the uprights are 18 feet.
But they're talking about moving them in here like that, right?
Oh, the kickers will love that, huh?
Well, you know, they're getting so good. It seems like everybody in the league's right around 85, 90% anymore with these kicks. And I actually like what they did with the extra point. Added a little drama to that. We saw, 8 or 9 of them missed during the first 2 weeks of the season, and maybe we'll see some more going for 2. And I like some of these changes.
I'm with you on that. Quinn Sharp is going to kick off. And now Arizona's going to have to run one play. The extra point experiment, I mean, the extra points are automatic, as you know, but in preseason this year, fairly automatic, but 94.3%. They missed 8 of them. The regular season last year, that's the entire regular season last year, when they missed only 5 in the 17 weeks, 16 games, of course, but made a little bit of a difference. Kneel down will end it, and that will take us to halftime. So Cincinnati leading as they go to the locker rooms by a score of 13-3. Coming up next, Toyota halftime, but first these messages from your local NBC station.
Bengals up 13-3 as we head for the third quarter here, and while we have a minute, let's talk a little bit about USA football. The NFL is going to salute more than 5,500 youth leagues and high school programs registered for Heads Up Football nationwide this season. Heads Up Football promotes a very positive and fun experience while advancing players' safety through coaching, education, and resources that benefit not only the players, but the parents, the coaches, everybody involved. And tonight, the Cardinals issued 5,000 tickets to Heads Up Football and NFL flag leagues from around this area, and the kids were able to partake in the festivities right down there on the field like the big guys did and play a little football at halftime. It was great fun.
Good football area here, too. The high school season has already started. Kids have to go out and play in temperatures that are in the 90s at night. But it's that time of year. It's late August. High school football, college football starting this week. And the second half starting right here. Quinn Sharp sends it through the end zone. And let's check in with Michelle.
Well, I spoke with Bruce Arians at halftime, and he said on offense, we missed some wide open guys. We're out of sync, and I really don't know why. And as for the second half, he wants to see these young players we're about to see really step up, execute with some energy, and play better than the guys in the first half did. As for Marvin Lewis, he was happy to see his offense pick up, although he said the return game, the penalties have been their Achilles all preseason long. For the second half, he wants guys also to come in and prove something. They're playing to make the team out. As for Vontaze Burfict's hamstring, Lewis told me he is not at all concerned.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. It starts with a penalty here in the third quarter. That's Jonathan Dwyer.
10-yard penalty remains first down.
He was the ball carrier. Drew Stanton is the quarterback. He's had one of the cushiest jobs in America over the last 3 years. He has been active for 48 games over the last 3 seasons and hasn't taken a snap.
It's a good job if you can get it. Not quite as good as our job, but Drew Stanton's a guy. He's been fantastic when he's been playing. I mean, you put up the numbers that he puts up in preseason, you get to hang around for a long time. A really big, strong guy. And there's Carson Palmer over on the sideline trying to figure out why they missed some of those opportunities that Bruce Arians was talking about.
Stan, who's been several years in Detroit, and that pass is dropped by Darren Phil. Stanton was with the Lions, and he was behind Stafford there, and then he went to Indianapolis for a year, didn't play at all, and then last year he backed up Palmer, who took every snap. Here.
Yeah, here's Darren Fells going to come out a really simple ball. This is a guy that was a former basketball player, and he's been a great receiver. Spent all the time in the offseason dry blocking. He hired a coach, tried to figure out how to become a better blocker, a better football player, and just messed up the part that he does well.
On second down and 20. Pass is caught by John Brown. And Brown trying to win a job with this team. They have the unrelated Browns, Jerron Brown, who figures to make the team, and John trying to make the team. Rookie, drafted in the 3rd round out of Pittsburgh State Small School in Kansas.
Just want to get the ball to him in any way you can here. These little screens, whatever. Lightning quick. When you watched him in practice the other day, they were really, whether it's Patrick Peterson, didn't matter who it was, having a tough time trying to stay with that young man. He's going to be really tough in some man-to-man coverage situations.
3rd down and 11, and you saw jumping on the defensive front, so it's a free play here, and the pass is incomplete, the defensive penalty.
Good job, though, by Drew Stanton.
Offside, number 92, defense. 5-yard penalty, remains 3rd down.
Good job, he drew him off.
Yeah, went with the hard count, 3rd down and long, sets up a little 3rd and medium now.
92 and 93.
He's played behind a lot of guys who were the 1st overall pick. There's Margus Hunt, big old guy. He's a guy that really needs to step up too. Michael Johnson now playing for Tampa Bay, and they think that he is the physical freak out there. He and Carlos Dunlap, they need him to come on and be a star. He's played well so far this preseason.
Stanton, he's going to pack it in. There's a flag down, however, so it's a good run here. But Morelli will tell us.
Illegal use of hands to the face, number 92, defense. 5-yard penalty be added at the end of the run, 1st down.
Yeah, so Drew Stanton is able to take it for a 1st down and pick up 5 more.
You know, a little subtle rule change for this season. You saw Stanton go a little quicker to the sideline there. Quarterbacks have to be all the way out of bounds or else they're not protected. Mock with the hands to the face. That's a pretty obvious call. That is one of the other points of emphasis. It used to be so many of these offensive linemen that would just jam to the face and get it down. It wasn't being called, and the defensive guys were screaming, so they made that adjustment. No more. Not going to allow that to happen on either side of the ball.
More than 4 times as many penalties, and then stopped in his tracks is Dwyer by Brandon Thompson.
Brandon Thompson, kind of the 3rd defensive tackle inside for the Cincinnati Bengals. Domata Peko, Geno Atkins, and Brandon Thompson, and really a good battle going on to see who that 4th guy is going to be. Devin Still, a young man who's going through some really difficult personal life situations with his daughter, and I'm sure we'll tell you more about that in a bit.
2nd down, 14 from the 42-yard line. Stanton, good protection, but then the pass is incomplete. With Britton Golden not even turning around to look for it, it'll be 3rd and 14.
Talked a little bit about Margus Hunt coming off the edge right over here, is going to face a bit of a double team. Not a real quick guy. He's not a speed rusher by any means, but he was a guy that was a junior Olympic champion in the shot put and the discus, and a phenomenal guy. And he went to SMU on a track scholarship, and they basically ended the track program, so he went out for football and became a 2nd-round draft pick for the Bengals.
From Estonia, and a timeout is taken here, 32nd timeout, before a 3rd down and 14. So the Bengals going home, play Indianapolis on Thursday, and then they'll open up at Baltimore the opening weekend. 2 new coordinators. Paul Guenther, promoted from within when Mike Zimmer got the head coaching job at Minnesota. And on the other side of the ball, Hugh Jackson, who was the head coach at Oakland when Carson Palmer was traded there in the 2011 season. and he was on the staff last year. And Hugh Jackson, I thought did a pretty good job in Oakland. That was the year Al Davis died. And
everything
was happening, and all of a sudden, Jackson got fired at the end of a decent year.
Boy, he is a little different than Jay Gruden, who was very friendly with the guys, and Hugh Jackson's been on him pretty hard.
On 3rd and 14, the pass is for a gain of 12, caught there by Britton Golden. It'll be 4th down, 4th and 2.
Well, I tell you, Paul Gunther, though, he just gushed about Mike Zimmer, and of course got the head coaching job finally with the Minnesota Vikings. But what Mike Zimmer meant for the career of Paul Gunther and everything that he taught him, and he's greatly appreciative. He was a head coach in college at age 25. I mean, it's almost remarkable to think about that Ursinus College outside of Philadelphia.
So 4th and 2, they line up to go for it, and we had a fairly penalty-free first quarter, a few flags in the second, and a bunch here in the third.
Prior to the snap, Cincinnati is challenging the previous play, challenging that it was an incomplete pass. Timeout.
All right, our first challenge of the night. They'll take a peek, and we'll take a break. All right, Pete Morelli's going to make the call, challenging the
After
completed
reviewing
pass.
the play, the ruling on the field stands. Cincinnati will be charged a timeout and a challenge.
So it's 4th down and 2, and this year, as we take a look at the replay again, Dean Blandino, the head of officiating, will look at every play along with his crew back in New York, and that'll help expedite things, because if it's clear that the call should go one way or another, by the time the referee gets over there, Dean can give him a heads up. And right there, it was pretty clear that the catch was made, the ball not hitting the ground, it was cradled. So on 4th and 2 now, at least they line up to go for it and see if they actually snap it. And they won't. So I thought maybe it's preseason, you go for it down by 10,
Offense,
but no.
5-yard penalty, remains 4th down.
But remember, they have a punter who leads the world on punts inside the 20-yard line, set a record a couple years ago, led the league last year, Zastudil, and so they're going to take advantage of that weapon they have.
Dave Zastudil, 81 in the past 2 seasons. Inside the 20, Brandon Tate is back. This little backspin on it. From the 14 now. And Tate will bring it back to the 18 and lose the ball. The ball is loose at the 19-yard line. Now they're going to say the back judge comes in to say he was down. He was down, and the play is over at the 18-yard line. And we'll take a look. Knee is down, ball is out.
Doesn't really matter. Looked like it was recovered by the Bengals anyway.
Yep. There's that left knee going to the ground. Still has possession just about as the ball comes out.
Gets punched out right here.
Mm-hmm. Close.
To tell, yeah.
Close, but as you say, Cincinnati winds up with the ball at the 19-yard line.
And now what the Cincinnati Bengals would like to see is a little play out of their backup quarterbacks. It has not been so good so far this season. Jason Campbell comes in. He's had a bit of an issue with his elbow, hurt it in the first preseason game, and so they're hoping that this second unit gets it going a little bit.
Take another look here. Last play. Knee going down just as the ball is coming out.
But it's kind of blocked by the Cardinals player arm. Teddy Williams there.
Well, what are we going to see here as Morelli comes over?
It's really almost all about where it's going to be marked.
Yeah.
Instead of who has the ball. And now you see those communication devices that they're wearing.
Arizona is challenging the ruling on the field that the ball was fumbled and recovered by a player from Arizona. Timeout.
Well, apparently Arians feels the recovery was made by Arizona. So they're going to look at two different things here. And you look at a commercial.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field stands. Arizona will be charged their second team timeout and a challenge.
So each team has lost a challenge. You had two things there. Arians contending that the ball came out before his knee went down. Then the question also would become, had it done that, who recovered? Ruling on the field was that Cincinnati did, so much ado about not much. Jason Campbell is the quarterback. And on first down, he slings one to the outside. That's caught by Ryan Hewitt. And we have a flag. Hewitt, a rookie out of Stanford.
Personal foul, chop block, number 32, offense. Half the distance to the goal, remains first down.
Jeremy Hill, the rookie from LSU.
Well, if you're engaged with an offensive lineman, you're not allowed to go low on the player. So what they're saying was that the center was still engaged before that chop block happened. Close.
What do you think?
A little ticky tack.
Yeah. First and 20. Hill saying they don't call that in the SEC. Hill stopped at the line of scrimmage. So Jason Campbell, very interesting career path for him in the NFL. Went to Washington in 05, and then he was going to be the anointed one for the Redskins. And at one point it looked like he'd be in Washington for a long time, but that lasted for 4 years. Then he went to Oakland for 2 years. Then he went to Chicago as a backup for a year. And then to Cleveland, where he actually started 8 games last year, and now here in Arizona. Second and 19. We're actually here in Arizona wearing a Bengals uniform as Jeremy Hill makes the catch and Buchanan makes the tackle. So one LSU guy taken down by the man from Washington State. 2 rookies.
First overall pick for the Arizona Cardinals, and this guy is a sledgehammer of a hitter. Watch him come up out here. Now this is a decent shot, but if you watch this guy play in college at all, there were a couple of hits that he put on that almost unnerves you to watch them. He is going to be a force for the Cardinals in the secondary.
Third and 19, set up a screen here. Here goes Hill. And Hill gets out to the 20-yard line, and there is Buchanan again making his presence known. And it'll be 4th down.
Yeah, that's what great safeties will do that. You'll start to think about where they are on the field, and there have been a lot of good ones, including the Ronnie Lotts of the world out there, that you stop and think, okay, where is that guy when they're coming flying up, especially on those crossing routes.
Kevin Huber will punt, and Walt Powell, receiver by trade, rookie out of Murray State, 6th-round pick, to run it back. And starts to call for the fair catch. You got to be careful not to touch it, otherwise it's a live ball and it skitters out of bounds at the 37. And I think we've got another flag.
During the kick, holding, number 29 of the receiving team. 10-yard penalty, remains first down, timeout.
Tacking on at the end. 9:09 left in the third. Cincinnati by 10. 9:09 left in the third quarter. 13-3 Cincinnati. Tom Moore, 36 years as an assistant coach in the NFL, 14 years in college. So 50 years he's been patrolling the sidelines. Great guy. 2 knee replacements a couple of years ago. He was retired. And then when Arians got the job, he says, come on. And Tom said, I'm coming. And here he is as the assistant head coach. Stanton throws, caught up at the 31-yard line, and there goes Spells, who makes the catch, breaks a couple of tackles, and then puts the ball on the ground. And here comes the side judge to indicate that the play was over, that he was down. So
it looked like his elbow hit before it came out, but you never know. Let's check out the very end of this play, because if the elbow is down,
Ruling on the field was down by contact.
Yeah, that ball is still in his arm and under control when that elbow hit the ground, and then what happens from there doesn't matter. Quick snap it anyway.
All right, making sure there's no challenge here. Here's Fells making the catch. We check with Michelle.
Well, I'm here with Andy Dalton. A little bit of a slow start for the offense. Finally got in sync. What changed?
You know, the field position wasn't in our favor tonight. You know, we kept getting backed up, and so I think the biggest thing we tried to really flip field position and get drives going. Like I said, slow start, but you know, we definitely moved the ball well, and we got to find a way to put points on the board.
Otherwise, this preseason has been pretty spectacular for you. How would you characterize this preseason for you?
No, it's gone well. I think just the experience of playing and you know, understanding what this offense is trying to do. I think that's really helped me out, and you know, having a lot of fun doing it.
Well, and there's that little thing we call the new contract, and you know, that can affect players' mindsets different ways. How has it influenced your head going forward?
You know, it's been good. You know, I think to have that behind me now and just really focus on football has been big. You know, don't have to worry about the negotiations and all that kind of stuff. You know, it's been good. I'm glad it's done. I'm glad I'm going to be here for a long time.
But then there are the people who are going to say, yeah, but they haven't won a playoff game yet. And here we are in August, and I know it's the last thing you guys want to address, but how are you addressing it?
You know, we can't worry about that right now. I think the biggest thing is we don't get to start back where we left off. We got to work our way back to the playoffs, and then when we get there, we got to be playing our best football. And so, you know, right now our goal is to do whatever it takes to get back there, and then you know, we'll handle that when we get there.
And so, how would Andy Dalton define a successful season this year?
I mean, I think for us, you know, we have high expectations. We've got to get back to the playoffs. We've got to win a playoff game, but you know, that's not the goal of this team. It's not just one playoff game. It's to really make a run at it. And you know, everybody's saying right now the ultimate goal is the Super Bowl, but you know, we believe that, and you got to believe it now, or else it won't happen.
Thanks so much for your time, Andy.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
All right, thank you, Michelle. At the end of the last play, Chris Lewis Harris, you saw him go down, but he's just gotten up and trotted off the field, so he's fine. Meanwhile, the pass is caught by Brown, and Brown takes the ball to midfield for a first down. The whole world is a yeah, but.
A yeah, but?
Yeah. You won 2 Super Bowls. What about a third?
That's our job, though, isn't it? That's all we do up here.
The only yeah, but athlete I can think of the no yeah, but would be like Michael Jordan. There's no yeah, buts with him, right?
I would like to have that yeah, but in my life. Yeah, I won 2 Super Bowls, and ask me anything you want after that.
Yeah, no yeah, but with Joe Montana either.
Nope.
There would have been with John Elway, but he took care of that in his last 2 seasons.
He finished off the yeah, but.
Yep. From the 49, here's Jonathan Dwyer, former Pittsburgh Steeler. Short gain here.
You know, Jonathan Dwyer's one of those heavy backs as well, and hopefully he'll be able to take some of the load off of Andre Ellington, especially the goal line and short yardage type situations. He is just an angry runner. When you watch him play, he just seeks out people to hit. And it's a nice compliment to what Ellington brings to the table.
More than halfway through the third quarter in Arizona. And a screen is set up on the backside, sniffed out by Molt, making the tackle there on Troy Nicholas.
Yeah, there's Troy Nicholas. He came out of Notre Dame. I think it surprised a lot of people. He started as a linebacker at Notre Dame and played a year as a tight end and decided he was going to come out of the draft. Had a little rooting interest for the Fighting Irish, so I was a little disappointed in that, but he's been struggling with the hand. I guess he had a broken hand here, and so he really hasn't been able to block or catch the way that he would like.
Cast came off just this week. 3rd down and 11. And Stanton will get enveloped and taken down by Taylor Mays with another penalty on this play.
Illegal contact, number 28 defense, 5-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
So instead of a 4th and long, R.J. Stanford has given the opposition a first down.
Yeah, and that was Taylor Mays came around there that ended up with the sack, number 26. And here's a guy that really his ability to make the team's almost going to be like as a linebacker. Let's see if we can pick up the illegal contact down the field. There you go.
It's 5 and a first down. From the 46. Stan guns it over the middle. It's a little low, but it's caught by Darren Fells. So Fells in good hands, the basketball player. A couple of catches on this drive. First down at the 27.
Well, Bruce Arians has always loved having a lot of tight ends on the roster, and Darren Fells now has proved to Arians that he can block, and you know what he can do athletically, but they have John Carlson, who Carson Palmer called the biggest offseason acquisition we had. Rob Hausler, a good receiver. Just talked about Troy Nicholas. They have a lot of them.
Jonathan Dwyer for a gain of 7 to the 20-yard line.
But you can see Jonathan Dwyer, when he comes around the edge, he's not looking to make a move. He's looking to get his head somewhere on your head and try and run over you. I mean, he's probably one of those guys like Adrian Peterson. He might pick up a few of those penalties or planting his helmet right in the defender's chest.
5'11" and 230. A slant that's caught by John Brown, and he gets it to the 10-yard line. So that'll be a first down. And it'll make it first down and goal with the nose of the ball spotted right at the 10 with 4.5 to go in the third quarter.
Well, so far this game has been completely dominated by the defensive sides of the ball, so that's the real headline that'll come out of here. But now maybe the backups will create a little offense for us all.
Not on this play. Loss of 2 here. Dwyer taken down by Margus Hunt.
Now that's a nice play by Margus Hunt. He read the action going away, and they really just kind of pulled away from him. And like a veteran player that he is not, he just falls in behind it and catches the play from behind. That's the kind of athlete he is. He can run down backs.
Now it's second down and goal at the 12-yard line. And to the outside, and having some blocking there is Britton Golden, and he takes it to the 5-yard line. So now it's third down and goal. We're still looking for the first offensive touchdown of the game. The only touchdown in the game was a Terrence Newman 53-yard interception return in the first quarter.
Yeah, and that was a good play by Jerron Brown on the outside. Those wide receivers on those screens aren't allowed to block downfield. He just sort of danced around a little bit on the outside, waited for that ball to be caught, and then went and got a block.
Third and goal now from the 5-yard line. Stanton 9 of 11 for 77 yards. Under pressure, hit as he throws, and the pass is incomplete. Pressure put on Dante Moak, who's been all over the place. He's made a couple of nice plays. He's had a couple of penalties as well, but he burst through.
Yeah, one of the rough things about this league is that if everybody doesn't know all the blocking assignments, it's up to the quarterback to get that ball out of there. At that time, really, you've got to blame Drew Stanton. He had to understand that he was one short in the protection area, and he took a shot.
Here's the rookie kicker now, Catanzaro. Rookie out of Clemson, trying to beat out Jay Feely for the job. Field goal is good, and that makes it a 7-point game late in the third quarter in Arizona. Sunday Night Football brought to you by Chevrolet. Find new roads, by Chili's, and by Corona, inviting you to find your beach. Well, it's the only stadium where this happens, where they grow the grass outside and roll it in. Back and forth it goes, and where it stops, nobody knows. Neat.
Just wonder what they're going to do next. We're talking about down on the field. There's a chance that they could open this place up for the Super Bowl, right? The weather would be perfect.
Sure. Yeah, they opened the roof here about half the season. Of course, they wait until October. And this is Hamilton's going to run it back from deep in the end zone to the 18. You can't do it in August and really not in September. You get to the middle of October, then you start thinking about it. 13-6 Bengals. Monday, September 22nd, last season's #1 news show is back. James Spader returns on the Blacklist Monday, September 22nd, right here on NBC.
My favorite show.
It's a good one. Jeremy Hill stopped at the line of scrimmage. To the field now, and Michelle.
And Al, I'm with Carson Palmer, and Bruce Arians, your coach, told me at halftime we missed some wide open targets. We seem out of sync. I don't know why. What's your take on it?
Yeah, it wasn't the execution we were looking for. You know, we wanted to come out and be sharp and be efficient like we had in the first 2 games, and just one of those nights we had a couple things that bit us in the butt. And you know, the good news is it's a preseason game. We still have a little over 2 weeks to get those things ironed out before we open up with San Diego Chargers here on Monday night.
You open up with the Chargers, but in this division, and there is no tougher division in football than the NFC West, facing Seattle, St. Louis, and San Francisco twice each. How do you describe that challenge?
It's great. That's great. You know, and St. Louis is the team that people don't talk a whole lot about, and they're a very physical defense and a good defense too. We have a great defense ourselves, so it's a great defensive division. It's a struggle each and every week. Offensively, you got to bring your best because they're all good teams in our division.
You know, I can't help but ask, your former team is across the field from you, and I'm just wondering if it's just another game. You've played them before, or are there some emotions that go through you?
You know, it's the 3rd preseason game. It's a national televised game. That's why you want to play well. You know, for me, that was 3 teams ago, 1 childbirth, a long while ago. So, you know, you know, you don't think much about it. It's a preseason game, and you want to come out and execute and do better than we did offensively tonight.
I'm thinking the childbirth might have been the biggest thing out of all of those.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Carson, thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Michelle. So
New way of marking time now.
Yeah.
I think we all do that a little bit,
Yep.
don't we? You know, maybe we shouldn't have been so surprised at how this game's come out. The Bengals were the 3rd-ranked defense a season ago. The Cardinals 6th. So defense winning the battle so far in this one.
Huber's punt. Flag is down. Fielded at the 45. Walt Powell takes it to the 48 of Cincinnati.
During the kick, holding, number 31, receiving team. 10-yard penalty, remains first down.
That NFC West, the defenses in this division, as well as the offenses, but defensively in particular, Seahawks led the league fewest points and yards allowed, and of course went on to win the Super Bowl. 49ers 3rd in fewest points and 5th in yards allowed, so a great defense there. And then you come to Arizona, led the league in fewest rush yards allowed. And the Cardinals 3rd in sacks and yards allowed per carry. I'm sorry, the Rams 7 and 9, but of course they suffered a huge blow today when it was discovered that Sam Bradford tore his ACL last night and the quarterback is out for the season. And Stanton's going to gun this one deep and incomplete. Intended for Jerron Brown, and there is another flag down at the 26-yard line. So R.J. Stanford was back there with
Pass
him.
interference, number 28, defense, automatic, first down.
Looks like Stanford may have grabbed the arm of John Brown going down. Look right here. Just grabs his arm. The official sees it. Good call.
It's Jerron Brown, and they spot the ball at the 30-yard line. A minute and a half remaining now in the 3rd quarter. Still looking for the first offensive touchdown of the game. That turns out to be a 35-yard penalty. And it's a first down at the 30-yard line. And going to the end zone and reaching out and making the catch is John Brown for the touchdown. So there's your first offensive touchdown of the game, and it's a beauty. The rookie from Pittsburgh State trying to make the team, and that won't hurt.
Great throw, but even better catch here by John Brown. You'll see a little bit of the hand fighting going down between both guys. John Brown maybe got a little stiff arm in there, but just enough, and that's the kind of big plays. Those are what you're looking for if you're a head coach of this football team, because now the Larry Fitzgeralds and the Michael Floyds and the John Carlsons can start to work underneath if you have that kind of deep threat, and they think John Brown is going to be exactly that.
And your running back Ellington is also an excellent receiver. So a ton of weapons. Catanzaro's extra point is good. And with 1:29 remaining in the 3rd, as Brown makes his 4th catch of the game. The game is tied at 13. Pittsburg State in the state of Kansas was his school. Some pretty tremendous numbers, 94.1 yards per game, 3-time Division II All-America selection.
We saw some tape of him in college, and it almost looked unfair, didn't it? I mean, he was so much faster than everybody was playing against. A little bobble of the ball at the end, but he managed to second catch it and really secure that. Take a look back at John Brown at Pittsburg State. You can see when he got his hands on the ball, it was no contest running away from people. Just lightning quickness in the open field. We saw it in practice. Now we see it in the game. You start to translate with those guys because so much of the game now, Al, is just one-on-one matchups. You know, it's like the NBA. You get a matchup you like and one-on-one, and you have a guy that can run like that. All of a sudden, you're not so comfortable playing that man coverage and blitzing anymore.
Long way from Pittsburg State Stadium to the National Football League, isn't it? Cute little setting back there as the kick goes through the end zone. So this is the next to last preseason game. Everybody's going to play one more, and then it counts. And we'll be there on the 4th of September. That's a week from Thursday night in Seattle. And then we'll go to Denver for the Sunday night game. The Sunday night opener is Indianapolis against Denver. So 2 great games to begin the season on NBC.
Well, that Colts-Broncos game was one we had a lot of fun with. Peyton Manning came home after going to Denver for the first year, and that was a spectacular game.
Good to see Reggie Wayne back. He got hurt and was done for the season in that one, but he's back. And now you got Campbell asking for the play clock to be reset.
Timeout. Cincinnati, second team timeout. 30-second timeout.
He was asking for it, but apparently the clock was running and everything was kosher and there was no problem.
Can you get any better, though, than Aaron Rodgers going up against Richard Sherman and Earl Thomas and that Seattle defense that was so dominant in the Super Bowl? It really looked like 2 teams going at different speeds in the Super Bowl, didn't it?
Oh, no question about that. Right from the get-go, as Richard Sherman said, that we were confident coming out of the tunnel. They looked like it. You had the bad snap. You had the safety early in the game. But, you know, Green Bay is going to go in there. That's something. Because they were 8-7-1 last year. Barely got into the playoffs, but you got Aaron Rodgers. Watch out.
Watch out.
Rematch of the Hail Mary game. Got a little bubble screen set up here that doesn't go anywhere as the catch is made by Kobe Hamilton.
Well, Desmond Bishop used to play for the Green Bay Packers, coming off a torn ACL in week 6. A week ago, showed up here last week. I think he got here about an hour before game time. Hadn't practiced, hadn't done anything, and they asked him, Bruce Arians said, "You want to play?" He's like, "Yeah, why not?" Goes out there and he was directing traffic, telling everybody what to do, and played really well.
Three receivers set to the right. Campbell goes to the left, throws, caught on the run. And all the way into Arizona territory goes Kobe Hamilton for a first down. Played his college football at Arkansas, 6th-round pick in last year's draft.
Going against Teddy Williams, who's kind of gone back and forth between cornerback and receiver throughout his career. And Kobe Hamilton battling for one of those spots. There's only going to be a few available. They like James Wright as well. But this kind of one-on-one ability, again, what we're seeing out of the coaches in the second half is they're putting all these guys in man-to-man situations because they want to evaluate them.
And they'll reverse it. And coming around the other way is Brandon Tate. And he'll get shoved out of bounds into the Cincinnati bench. With 1 second left in the quarter, they'll wind the clock when they spot the ball, and that will take us to the end of the third quarter. The score 13-13. And Sunday Night Football resumes right after these messages. Tonight's aerial coverage being brought to you by Geico. Glendale, Arizona. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, Michelle Tafoya. Sunday Night Football. As we start the fourth quarter with the game tied at 13 apiece. And the Bengals have the ball, second down and 8 at the Arizona 43. Jason Campbell to the outside, and that's caught. We'll see what forward progress winds up with Hamilton, who's been very much a part of the action last couple of minutes. Close to a first down. Tell you what, would this be the story of stories? That man's name is Tom Pratt. He's an assistant coach. He's what's known as the pass rush specialist. He's 79 years old. He coached in Super Bowl I at the Los Angeles Coliseum in January of '67. He was on the Kansas City staff, head coach Hank Stram. Can you imagine if he gets back to Super Bowl 49? Here's Cedric Pierman to the 32-yard line.
If he does, we might have to go 3 in the booth. What the heck? Let him call the game, too.
Look at that. There he was, a longtime Chiefs assistant for 15 years in the 60s and 70s. Then he came back under Marty Schottenheimer. Then he came back again in 2000. And there he is on the sideline.
I tell you, Tom Moore, we see it more and more. Guys, they don't ever want to leave the game. You know, once they're involved in it and they're a coach, they just want to keep going. That's all they want to do. It's so competitive. What else?
And we're better to go at that point than Arizona, right?
Absolutely. But really, what else in the world? You just want to be able to be in a competitive situation your whole life, and it's in these guys' blood.
Tom Moore, Tom Pratt.
When Bruce Arians called Tom Moore, he hung up the phone and told his wife, "Honey, we just hit the lotto. Going to Arizona and do a little coaching.
Get a little golf."
Yeah.
Second down and 6. And that pass is hauled in very close to a first down by Brandon Tate. Looks like they'll spot it a few inches shy.
Well, the good news is Jason Campbell's elbow looks like it's healthy. He's throwing the ball pretty well out here tonight, and they really had gotten very little production out of their second string. First string has been doing great. Of course, tonight, this game is sort of getting flipped on its head.
3rd and 1. Inside handoff, not the cleanest handoff in the world, but Pierman is able to pick up the first down. You know, you look at Campbell, he's one of those guys, when he came into the league, he had like a new offensive coordinator every year from going back to college for like 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, but Andy Dalton really appreciates the fact that he is here because he's been able to help him through a lot.
Injury timeout with Hopkins down. Sunday Night Football being brought to you by Quicken Loans for a mortgage experience that's engineered to amaze. By the all-new Chrysler 200, America's import. And by AT&T, mobilizing your world. It's the Goldfield Ghost Town, an abandoned mining town on the Apache Trail, just a few miles east of here. We'll go there Super Bowl week. What do you think?
I don't think so. They had the jail right there, then the gallows right next to it.
Right.
Some swift justice.
That's Trey Hopkins, who is down. He's a rookie out of the University of Texas. And they're going to have to bring the card out to take care of him. See what happens here. Right knee caught underneath. And take him back.
Trey Hopkins started 42 games at the University of Texas. Played guard and tackle, so one of those versatile linemen you like to have, and hopefully it'll be okay. Tanner Hawkinson, another guy the Bengals are trying to take a good long look at tonight as well.
Well, they're going to try to
go at it from the other side here.
Yeah. Bengals going home after the game. taking on Indianapolis next week, and I hope that Mr. Hopkins is able to get on that plane and make the trip back home with him.
Pretty good draft, that those two jerseys were in, right?
Yeah.
Got A.J. Green and Andy Dalton, first and second round, and been to the playoffs every year since.
Well, the Bengals are a franchise, I don't have to tell you, that for a while not thought of as one of the top organizations, and then all of a sudden, as you mentioned before, the stability coming with Marvin Lewis now in his 12th year. Good drafts, good free agent acquisitions, 3 years in a row. Now they've been to the playoffs. That's the first time in the history of the franchise.
I just think you have to draft and have some continuity so that your plan stays the same year after year. Of course, we see Pittsburgh and New England and some of those franchises doing it all the time.
And the inside handoff here goes to Pearman, taking it to the 16-yard line.
Deone Bucannon, we talked about him a little bit. I think this is him right up here. Coming down, and this is just one of those heat-seeking missiles. This is a guy, whether it's a college or the NFL, there are a lot of explosive collisions that happen when he's around.
2nd and 7 now from the 15-yard line. 4-man rush, pass to the end zone, juggled and incomplete. Almost a fingertip grab by Wright, who is still down. Wright couldn't hold on. He got hit by Curtis Taylor as the ball arrived. And now comes the training staff.
It's like James Wright had his hands on it, and then the contact came soon after. Bobble it, and then here we go. A blow to the head. You know, as a defensive player, sometimes you have to be able to defend yourself a bit there too.
Right.
No flag thrown.
So another injury timeout. Well, again, the card has to come out now. This is James Wright, who is a rookie wide receiver picked in the 7th round out of LSU. And we'll go back and take a look at what happened here, Chris.
Yeah, and you get the forearm across the helmet, and then watch the way his helmet snaps to the ground at the very end of that. I just know so many times as a receiver, that's what really gets you. That right there is the double blow. Of course, the little bit of a forearm, it didn't look like that devastating a blow when I first saw it. And then you see the tail end of that and that helmet really snapping down to the ground. I can remember 2 or 3 times in my career when your arms sort of get pinned after a catch or something and you try and hold your head up and all of a sudden it snaps to the ground, and those are the worst. They really like James Wright. He's a young man that is very athletic, kind of got stuck at LSU behind Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry, 2 guys drafted in the 1st and 2nd round. But they feel like athletically he fits with the Bengals. Good special teams player.
It's just waiting for the right moment to.
Well, that's part of the protocol.
Yep.
Yeah,
Sure.
It's what they do. You're down, and then when you're comfortable to sit up, they make you sit up, and then they make you get comfortable there, and then when you're comfortable there, then they will stand you up. A little different in this day and age when dealing with concussions than back in the day. And really so much better. Thank goodness they've changed the rules, and everybody's adapting, and the game's just as great as it ever was.
Well, Marvin Lewis has seen 2 guys now have to be taken off in the cart in this the next to last preseason game.
It was interesting talking to him about some of that illegal contact and all those things happening down the field. And he said, you know, so many of these so-called shutdown corners were really just shutdown grabbers, that they learned how to grab inside, and he thought some of those were real positive changes. He's on that competition committee.
And as we come back to the game with 11:26 to go, it's 3rd down and 6 for the Cincinnati Bengals at the Arizona 15-yard line. They go 4 wide out of the gun. And change that as Pierman sets up next to Campbell. And the pass is incomplete through the hands at the 5-yard line of Kobe Hamilton. Hamilton catching 3 passes in this 4th quarter. And Cincinnati will have to try to take the lead on a field goal.
The Bengals really in the market for another receiver. Dane Zanzibacher not playing because of a concussion in this one. Marvin Jones out with a broken foot, probably back around the 1st of October sometime.
So here's Quinn Sharp. Doesn't figure to make the team, but who knows? Somebody might pick him up. If indeed he gets cut, 34-yard field goal is good with 11 minutes and 16 seconds remaining in the 4th quarter. Cincy has the lead again by 3. College football is upon us. Notre Dame Saturday returning as the Fighting Irish kick off the new season at home in South Bend against Rice. 1 week later, they'll face Michigan in prime time. Notre Dame football right here on NBC. And ready to take it at the goal line and running it back from there is Walt Powell. Swings to the outside. Flag is down.
Holding number 29 of the receiving team. 10-yard penalty, still 1st down.
And let's go to Michelle.
All right, well, Patrick Peterson had the Cincinnati Bengals #1 receiver again, A.J. Green. How do you think that went?
I thought it went pretty good. I thought it was a great dress rehearsal for the first group to go out there and not let them score. They threatened us a couple times in the red zone, but as a good defense, if you want to be dominant, you can't let them score 7 points. And we didn't do that tonight. Gave up 3, and put our offense here in pretty good field position. And let's see what we can do.
We documented earlier how last year you played just about every position a guy can play on a football team. This year, you're just playing corner. So how does that change your daily routine, your whole outlook on the game?
I think it's going to be different for me, but it's going to be better for me as well as I'm trying to continue to grow as a young cornerback. Just continue to focus on playing defensive back and guarding the #1 receivers on opposing teams. So I think it's just going to make me that much better.
You know, we talked with Carson Palmer earlier about this division because there really isn't a tougher division in the NFL. You guys were the only ones to go into Seattle and win there in the last 2 years. So what does that say about your defense, and what does it do for your team outlook?
I think just having Coach Arians as a head coach and the commander-in-chief of this football team, the tenacity and fire and power he brings to the team each and every day. He knows how to get it out of his players. So we did a great job last year of going out there playing. We didn't play quite mistake-free football, but we did what we had to do to win the ball game, and that's all that matters.
Everyone thinks or wants to know about you and Richard Sherman and that tweeting war that entertained us all off season. So how much was serious and how much wasn't?
I think all of it was fun and games. You know, me and Richard we've known each other since 2007, back in high school when we played with each other in the U.S. All-American game. But it was all fun and games. You know, I wish Richard the best of luck throughout his career and his season. But that's just going to be a very friendly battle each and every time we go up against each other and for the rest of our career.
Who is the best cornerback in the NFL?
I have to say Patrick Peterson is the best corner in the NFL.
You wouldn't answer any other way, would you?
Exactly. I can't put no one before me.
Who's come second?
I'm first, second, and third.
We'll let you off the hook. Thank you, Patrick.
Thanks, Michelle.
All right, thank you, Michelle. Very engaging guy, Patrick Peterson. Well, he and Sherman and Darrelle Revis, so I guess will be 1, 2, 3, huh?
Pretty good company there. I was interested in what he had to say about the best receivers in football, and he was saying that Calvin Johnson, not even close. He's the best. He thought A.J. was second and Des Bryant was third. Asked him about Julio Jones, and he said, yeah, pretty good too. But that was his top 3.
There's Green. Meanwhile, Logan Thomas is the Arizona quarterback on this drive. He's a rookie. He was picked in the 4th round out of Virginia Tech. Right now he'd be number 3 on the depth chart. You saw him complete a 3rd down pass, 3rd and long to Britton Golden to keep this drive alive. School record at Va Tech right there, 53 touchdowns between 2010 and 2013. 2nd down and 6, and that pass is incomplete with a flag.
You know, Logan Thomas was fantastic in his first appearance. 11 for 12, 113 yards and a
Illegal
touchdown.
formation. Number 83 offense. 5-yard penalty remains, 2nd down.
And of course, you know whose record he tied for rushing touchdowns at Virginia Tech, right?
Would it be the backup quarterback of the Jets?
No. Have to go back a little bit farther, or maybe look at your screen there.
Ah! You tricked me.
There you go. Bruce Arians, how about that? You should see some of the pictures of Bruce Arians back in the day. He had to be a bit of a chick magnet, but he was telling us before the game that he was married, right? At like age 18 or
18 years old he got married.
He said, I've never made it through school otherwise.
Here comes the all-out blitz, and the pass is incomplete, thrown into a lot of traffic. That'll make it 4th down. There it is.
Look at those flowing locks.
It's that classic look, and they used to take the pictures back in the 70s. Ball in one hand, guy going back.
How about the fundamentals there, though? Wouldn't you put one hand on the ball?
You would.
Huh?
But it's like, remember they used to, every picture like from the 40s and 50s used to be the guys doing the Heisman, right?
Yeah. And now he's the QB guru.
The 13-yard line. It's pulled in there by Brandon Tate. Runs all the way across the field before he is taken out of bounds, and we have 8:12 to go here in the 4th quarter, with Cincinnati leading by 3 in the desert. During early on, Trey Hopkins, you saw him carted off the field. That's a shin injury, and no surprise with Wright, who we just saw get hurt when he couldn't hold on to a pass in the end zone, and he's being treated for a concussion. And now Cincinnati has the ball with a 1st down at the 22-yard line. Jason Campbell at the helm. Pearman. No gain. And let's go to Michelle.
Well, Al, you mentioned Devin Still, and he is in the midst of every parent's worst nightmare. In June, his 4-year-old daughter, Leah, was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. A grapefruit-sized tumor was found in her abdomen, and the cancer spread to her hip and bone marrow, and her chances of survival a shade better than 50-50. Devin considered quitting football to be by Leah's side 24/7, but doctors and family persuaded him to keep playing for the financial security, the NFL's insurance coverage, and as he put it, his sanity.
Well, it's just it's a heartbreaking story, and you can only wish the best for him. I mean, to try to do this under these circumstances is crazy.
Well, Devin told me he hoped playing football, Al, would be the distraction he needed, but he feels like he's at a low all the time. He said, I wear a hard shell on the outside, but I'm constantly thinking about my daughter. So he's making as many memories as possible with Leah while she awaits her 4th and final round of chemo in about 2 weeks. And after that, they'll learn if the chemo worked and if the doctors can remove that tumor.
Let's just hope for a great ending, a fairy tale ending for the Still family, as the pass is dropped there by Pearman. Flag comes in at the end of the play. For the moment, it's going to be a 4th down, and we'll see about the call.
Illegal use of hands, hands to the face. Number 56, defense, 5-yard penalty, automatic 1st down.
Well, one thing I can assure you of is that Marvin Lewis and Mike Brown and the Cincinnati Bengals organization will make sure they do everything in their power, financially and otherwise, to make sure Devin Still and Leah get all the very best. This has been an organization that has reached out to a lot of people, done a lot of things behind the scenes that nobody ever knows about. They'll make sure that's right.
Yeah, that's interesting, because then you would know better than anybody as Pearman breaks out and has the first down and a lot more, and finally gets taken down by McCann after a long gain. And out of breath as well at the end here. Gain of 37 yards.
Well, just a little bounce out run here. Nothing there initially. It looked like it was going to go nowhere, but sometimes when you lose contain out there on the outside, there was a pretty decent block made, and Pearman was able to bounce it out. Sometimes the defense can just relax. See if we get a horse collar situation or not. I think that is what it is.
Inside the shoulder pads.
Didn't happen until the very end right there. And that's why they don't like that. A lot of times you see the leg injuries when they get pulled back over their knees, which is really why that thing was initiated to begin with.
So I'm reaching for his left hip as he did right after he went down. And they work on Pearman, who's carried the load here in the second half. Coming up at 11:30 Eastern time on NBCSN tonight, it's the Sunday Sports Report, very latest on what's been happening around the NFL. Impact of today's California earthquake on local sports in that area. They did play that 49er Charger game this afternoon at the 49ers new facility, about probably some 80 or so miles away from the epicenter. Meanwhile, Pearman is able to walk off, and there is Devin Still. We talked about him. We talked about the travails of Devin Still, and all the very best to him.
Can't even imagine.
So Pearman able to walk off under his own power. It's a first down after that 37-yard gain. The ball is at the 35-yard line. And Campbell running around, throws. The pass is incomplete, intended for Jeremy Hill. So, Chris, you asked me before what the odds were in my mind of Arizona getting to the Super Bowl.
Oh, here we go.
I threw out a number. So what would be the odds in your mind of Cincinnati getting to the Super Bowl? Getting to the, not winning, getting to.
To the Super Bowl.
Getting to the Super Bowl.
I would say about 20 to 1.
All right. According to George Hill, who knows people all around the country.
He knows people.
He knows people who know people.
Right.
37 to 1 to get there.
Really?
Yeah. Well, excuse me, 37 to 1 to win the Super Bowl, 14 to 1 to get there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, there you go. Pretty good guess. Second and 10. And that pass is caught by Kevin Brock. It would end the longest current drought. Trying to win a playoff game for the first time since 1990. So I said the Cardinals were 16.5 to 1. They're actually 28 to 1 to make it to the Super Bowl.
Really?
60 to 1 to win it.
Really?
Again, George Hill knows people who know people. Provide that information.
George says it's so, then I'm going with it.
3rd and 9 now from the 34-yard line. And Campbell's going to take a timeout. So here's a good little quiz for you. Andy Dalton, Bengals quarterback, his first 3 years in the league. And there's a guy on the right. We're going to ask you to figure out who this is. So look at these numbers. First 3 years, same number of starts. The other guy started every game his first 3 years. Wins very close. TD passes close. Passer rating almost the same. So who do you think the other guy would be?
Well, because I was in the same meeting you were in, I know.
Oh, I know. I didn't mean who you thought.
Oh,
I mean
okay.
You out there.
Sort of to the...
Those of you out of state, who do you think?
Okay.
We'll give you the answer in a minute. Going to be a door prize as well. 3rd down and 9 with 6 minutes to go in the 4th quarter. Bengals 5 wide. And the pass is a little underthrown, but coming back to make the catch at the 24, even though the Cardinals say no, is Colin Lockett. Official comes in to say yes.
Like Jason Campbell got his arm hit just as that ball was thrown, and that ball is on the ground. That's an incomplete pass.
It is, but they get the, well, no, they don't get it off. So we're going to have a little challenge here.
Arizona is challenging the ruling on the field that the pass was incomplete.
And they'll win it.
Now this will be interesting. I bet you this challenge takes not very long at all, because now New York is going to take a look at it. Dean Blandino, he's going to see the back end of this ball.
Right.
He's going to say, God, I love NBC it.
Right.
And then just tell him, let's go back and play football.
Yeah, Morelli will go over. He'll talk to him immediately, and there's no reason they shouldn't be overturned in about 4 seconds.
Let's clock it under the hood.
In the meantime, to keep you entertained and informed, which is our job, they tell us, the other guy would be, and look at the postseason, by the way. Yep, Mr. Peyton Manning. First 3 years in Indianapolis. Got him to the playoffs twice, 0-2. Andy's gotten them there 3 times, 0-3. But the numbers are remarkably similar.
Well, and, you know, people get frustrated that they haven't won a playoff game, but they didn't have very many playoff games before Andy Dalton got there.
True.
And I think you have to give him a little credit. As my friend Terry Bradshaw used to love to say, he's just a young and give him a chance. 3 for 3 in the playoffs, and you guys are knocking him? Come on.
After reviewing the play, the ball hit the ground. It's an incomplete pass. Ball be placed on the 34-yard line. It is 4th down. Arizona has used their second and final challenge. They are challengers.
I think Marvin was over there. He wasn't frustrated at the call. He was frustrated that his offense didn't get up there fast enough to get the play off.
Missed it by about a second. So a 52-yard field goal attempt is forthcoming by one Quinn Sharp. Mike Nugent's their kicker. It would be a major upset if Sharp wound up with a job. It's still trying to impress somebody. It'll be 51 yards officially. And the kick is long enough and good, just inside that left upright.
Boy, that feels good. You're talking about the weight of the world as a backup kicker. You only get a couple of opportunities. And that's a bomb. He hit that a long way.
19-13 with 5.5 minutes remaining in the 4th quarter. University of Phoenix Stadium.
I think there might be a little bit more of a buzz here about the 1st of February or so when we're back here.
5.7%.
Yeah.
Will the roof be open? Well, they played one Super Bowl here, and that was the Giants Patriots spoiling of the perfect season. And of course the play that everybody will forever remember is the David Tyree ball pinned against the helmet catch leading to the Plaxico Burress touchdown catch, and there went the perfect season for New England.
That was some game. Hope we get one just like it.
That'd be nice. Or one where you look at Larry Fitzgerald, that wouldn't be bad either, that Arizona-Pittsburgh game after the 08 campaign. 4 yards into the end zone, Walt Powell will run it back, but not very far. Slips and falls at the 16. We go to Michelle.
Well, I'm with Andrew Whitworth, who is a big fan of Andy Dalton. You say what makes him special is his character, but physically, what are his gifts that are paying off right now?
Well, I think really a couple things for him. He's really a patient quarterback. He understands the game. His knowledge is unbelievable. You know, even as a rookie, he was so good at checking us in and out of blitzes and coverages. and being able to kind of put us in the right situation. And that's one of his greatest talents. And then, the patience he has and some of his stubbornness. I mean, all the people out there around the country that tell him he's not good, and he continues to just be him.
And third preseason game started off a little sluggish for the offense, but how do you think the offense is coming together?
Well, I think, we talked about it last night. We kind of wanted to, you don't want it to happen, but we wanted a game where it didn't all work out perfect. And tonight it didn't. They brought a lot of pressure and really kind of came up with a philosophy to blitz us and get us off kilter. And we had a drive there. We came back from our own end zone and drove all the way down the field and scored some points there. And that's a good thing. And that's kind of what you want to be able to do is bounce back from that.
You're definitely a leader on this team. And I asked Andy the same question. The question about the playoffs. You've gotten there 3 straight times, haven't been able to win. It's been a long drought for the Bengals. How does that change this year?
Playing better, working harder, and finding a way to win. And you see it every year in the playoffs. It's not necessarily the team that was the highest rated or had the best stats. It's the team that goes out and makes the huge plays, just has some kind of special will to win. And that's what it's going to take from us, a special will to win and to get there again. And we got a long way to go to get there, but we got the right guys to do it. And
I think you need a healthy Geno Atkins. You go up against him in practice every day. How's he coming along back from injury?
Geno's got special things, and his power and his strength and speed is really special. From the day he was a rookie, I could tell he was going to be special, and we need him back. We need him full strength because he's really the guy that sets the tone for our defense, and it's going to be important for us to stay healthy. I mean, we've seen it the last couple of years. One guy you can lose can make a big deal.
Andrew, thank you.
Hey, thank y'all so much.
All right, thank you, Michelle. The swing pass here taken by Parmalee, with 4.5 minutes remaining in regulation.
I'll tell you one thing about Andrew Whitworth that I really admire. Yeah, he's a leader and all that sort of stuff. But last year, they really needed him to move to guard. And it probably hurt his chances to go back to the Pro Bowl because he had been there as a tackle. But he knew it was in the best interest of the team. So he went and played right guard, let Anthony Collins come in and play left tackle, and that's what leadership really is, making sacrifices for the betterment of the team, and he showed that last year.
3rd and 8, Thomas on the run and skips one incomplete to make it 4th down.
This is to that point in the game now. It gets to be a little dangerous to play quarterback because defensive coordinators now always want to dial up a few blitzes and take a few shots, and what difference does it make? And quarterbacks are usually under siege at this point.
Zastudil playing. And Jasper Collins collects it at the 41, and down he goes at the 43-yard line.
And we talked about what a big hitter Deone Bucannon is, and little bit tonight, coming up and making a good tackle on the outside. He is coming off the edge on a blitz, and that's the kind of player he's going to be. He's a guy that's going to be down in that box. He's going to be playing a lot of linebacker in the nickel situations, and you'll really see him this year lined up all over the place. And then when Tyrann Mathieu comes back, it's going to be a very dynamic group in that secondary.
Malibu Kelly Hayes is pointing out to me he was a high school letterman in golf.
Deone?
Yeah.
Is that right?
I got that.
Well, we're digging to the bottom tonight.
Yes, we're right down. We're very deep in the well at the moment. As Jeremy Hill takes the ball out to the 47-yard line. Ty Matthew, who's the great-looking safety. Here he is. Working out before the game, still has that brace on the left knee. Was hoping to play tonight, but getting ready to hopefully play on opening day as T.J. Johnson is the injured Cincinnati Bengal.
Now that young man, of course, well chronicled, had to sit out a year at LSU and ended up drafted in the 3rd round. And boy, but to watch what he can do, it's a new breed of safety. They can play back and play the middle of the field. Yeah, they can come down and make big tackles. But he essentially was their slot corner. He would come down and play man-to-man coverage against wide receivers in the slot, and that was, you just don't see many like him. It's a pretty special player. Hope he comes back real soon.
And the injured player, T.J. Johnson, first-year player out of South Carolina, drafted in the 7th round last year. So the Bengals with 3 injuries of significance here in the 4th quarter.
Right here, it's T.J. Johnson, and I think Deone Bucannon right there on the back of his knee. You just see that. It's a hustle play by Buchanan. T.J. Johnson was engaged and just no way to be able to protect himself in that situation.
And again, unfortunately for the 3rd time in this 4th quarter, Marvin Lewis has watched a cart come out to take one of his guys back to the locker room.
It's always a fine line, isn't it, Al? But you want to get your team ready, but you're trying to get to opening day as healthy as you possibly can. And it's a reason you won't see any of the starters playing in that 4th preseason game.
Yeah, go ask Jeff Fisher about that today, huh?
Sick for Sam Bradford.
Yep. Rams coach losing Bradford for the season.
Well, it was interesting talking to Carson Palmer about Bruce Arians. He said, you know, it was a culture shock around here when Bruce Arians came in. You know, Ken Wisenhunt, we all had great relationships with him, but with Bruce, he's a grinder. It's his way or the highway, and guys didn't really want to hear it in the beginning. By the time they started buying in, they win 7 of their last 9, something like that. Went on a great roll at the end of the season, beat Seattle in Seattle. And he is not afraid. He said there's a big difference between criticism and coaching. He said, I coach. They took it as criticism.
Get a fullback. 2nd and 4. Through the middle, fighting his way for a first down, goes Jeremy Hill. That's good running there. Cincinnati, one thing about their schedule when you look at it is they have to get off to a good start and have a good first half of the season. They're going to open up at Baltimore. The bye week comes early. But the key thing on their schedule is 5 of their last 7 games are on the road. So a lot of home games early and a lot of road games late. And there it is, and they'll end the season at Pittsburgh. And their home games, the 2 of those 5 are going to be Pittsburgh and Denver. And a nice hole here. There goes Hill for a first down. Stays in bounds to keep the clock rolling along as we're going to go to the 2-minute warning. So Cincinnati on the move, chewing up the clock with 2 minutes to go. It's the Bengals leading Arizona 19-13 on Sunday Night Football. Yeah, great to have Carrie back with us this year. And Sunday night begins on September the 7th. Meanwhile, Pada, we're waiting all day for Thursday night.
Yeah,
we get a half.
We get the doubleheader, don't we? That's going to be great.
Green Bay, Seattle in the opener, and then Indy, Denver in the opener on a Sunday. Flag is thrown. Jeremy Hill, who's got a pretty good workload tonight. They've gotten a good look at him. 9 carries for 53 yards.
Illegal formation offense. They appeared in an illegal formation prior to the snap. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Whatever. It's a mirage. They appeared in one.
Well,
what you see is not always what you get, you know.
Statute of limitations almost up on this game.
Yes, it is. 1st and 15 from the 33. And gang tackle. Kareem Martin is there. The ball comes out, but after the play was over.
Second down.
It'll be second down.
Tell you, Kareem Martin is a guy drafted in the 3rd round. He may be a major factor this season right here, taking over, at least in part, for Darnell Dockett. They need his speed and quickness. that ability to get into the backfield, both in the run and pass game, could come into play for this team. Nice to have a couple of splash plays when you're trying to make an impression.
Arizona has used its last time out. There's the young GM who's done such a great job here, Steve Keim. Longtime scout, been in this organization for almost 15 years. And they elevated from within. And last year he made about over 190 transactions, which means he was making one every other day. And he'll make a few this week too.
Sure will. And I tell you, I know they didn't play very well tonight, but keep an eye on this Arizona football team. They're going to be tough.
2nd and 19. And they're just going to chew up some clock here because Arizona does not have a timeout. It's Buchanan coming in to make the tackle, and the clock will tick down to close to a minute before the next snap.
Well, Deone Buchanan right here going to come up and shoot the gap, and you're going to see him in this role quite a bit this season. He's going to be right around that line of scrimmage, and if you think you're going to send a young wide receiver, Colin Lockett, in there to block him, you can forget that.
So 3rd down and 19. Just run it, keep that clock going because Arizona can't stop it. And that's exactly what they will do. Jeremy Hill takes it right there, a little scuffle. Ensues on the outside, and that's going to take us down to about the 20-second mark before they have to snap it again.
There's the young rookie, Russell Bodine. Antonio Cromartie. And this is when it starts getting ugly in the NFL. All those coaches dread that day. Have to make the cut to 75. Maybe that one's not quite so bad, but that last one to 53, our coaches used to come back in and go, listen, don't mess with us today. We're all in a bad mood. We all had bad days. Get away from us today.
I think Hard Knocks it makes people really understand how tough that is
it's awful.
To watch it.
Well, it's awful on the coaches too.
One thing to hear about it, and then you get to see it.
Well, Sam White spared me when he called me on the phone. I was appreciative too.
But in 1989?
That was it.
So let it be known the last game that Chris Collinsworth ever played in was the Super Bowl.
That's a pleasant memory.
Yeah. Thank you, Joe Montana, huh?
Yeah, John Taylor, Jerry Rice.
And that punt will bound into the end zone. So at the 20-yard line, it's a last gasp for the Arizona Cardinals with 10 seconds remaining in the game.
All right, now if you're Bruce Arians, do you give up whatever your end of play or end of game play is, or do you just sort of say, all right, I'm not showing that one. I may show something else here.
I don't think you show anything. Well, I mean, neither team really showed that much.
If I know Bruce, he'll do something.
And then go for 2.
And then go for 2, yeah.
You better.
Yeah, we want him to go for 1.
That's right. What am I thinking about? Of course. I'll be right with you after these words. The pass is incomplete. Wait a second. I was just trying to do a little math here.
Malibu Kelly Hayes over there waving you off.
He's right. No goal. Larry Fitzgerald. Love watching him play. Guy through the years who just hasn't gotten that much national exposure, but could very well wind up in Canton, Ohio, 5 years after retirement.
How about him in the Super Bowl?
The whole postseason. Well, barring a defensive penalty, this will end it, and it's an interception that will end the game at the 29-yard line. Picked off there by the Bengals, and that will do it. One Sean Porter with the interception. So that's going to do it for tonight's game from Glendale, Arizona. Our next action is a week from Thursday when the season opens up in Seattle. Green Bay against the Super Bowl champion Seahawks. Until then, Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, Michelle Tafoya, Fred Godelli, Drew Esikoff, and our entire crew saying good night from Glendale, Arizona.